Was a G.I. Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!
Your fate is before you. Choose wisely. Relationship deprivation.
When you date a woman and she may be a potential wife, it's a competition thing all the way. I can't take it no more.
They feel propped up because they feel more beholden to the government. And then their man comes second. That's why they figure that they're strong, independent, don't need no man because they have the government.
Because the men are failing us, to be honest. Guys thinking about themselves and they'll think about you after you react.
You don't hear anything about being good wives and all this other stuff. What you hear is you're strong and you independent. You can do it on your own. You got black girl magic, black girl rock, but you ain't said nothing about black family.
My mother is like what they consider to be the strong black woman. I feel like I projected that onto the guys that I dated.
Ladies have no idea how stiff their competition really is. You have no clue how black men are viewed in the rest of the world. We are the #1 most sexually desired man on the face of this planet.
They would call Jesus Dusty if he was here living in America because of the gross narcissism that a lot of our women have.
Power deprivation.
His money doesn't go to his child. His money goes to the system.
Personal accountability is one of those things that just goes across the board.
It's none of his business how it's being spent. Just pay the money and we'll take care of the rest.
I see why people walk away. I see why dads walk away. And it's the system. It's the system that's driving them away.
I let her know I ain't got no money for no Jordans. You call your dad or do whatever you gotta do. You can get 2 pair a year, that's it.
The non-custodial father has rights. So the mother just jumps up and say, you can't see your child, I can't go see the child.
When he said that he was going to take all of my custodial rights away, I was literally devastated.
The family court is one of the most dangerous courtroom, the most dangerous courtroom in the world.
This makes it near impossible. I can't understand how most guys can even begin to approach the situation.
When a woman gets pregnant, one of these basketball players, baseball players, wealthy guys, it's called a cash register. Because that's what that child is. It's a cash register.
There is no accountability. You write that check or you go to jail.
Affection deprivation.
Women are noticing that their men are crossing the borders to find happiness, romance, or even just somebody to have a good time, hang out with. I come to Brazil, I sit down at the table, I order food. Young lady places a drink in front of me, opens my straw, puts it in my glass, and I'm chilling. Doesn't make her less of a woman, doesn't make me more of a man. It says that we have different roles in life, and she knows hers, and I know mine.
Several years ago, I read an article from Essence magazine in regards to African-American men going to Brazil.
There's been a number of articles since the Essence store
The article was not pleasant at all. It was quite negative.
The article is racially motivated, and to me, it's just another attack on the black man.
I feel in conversating with other guys who have advanced you here, you should come here and experience what she has to offer Brazil.
People that write the article say that they don't understand why we come to this place or any other place are biased because they've never experienced it.
Every black man should come down one time before you be put in this earth to see how this culture treats you. It's heaven.
You don't want to come down to Rio. I said, because if you do, you're going to come back thinking, how can I get rid of her? You know, and I just said, that's, I can't put it to you. I said, if you married and you love your wife and you're satisfied, I said, don't come here.
You're looking for cheap sex with pretty girls. I think to a certain extent, you're almost like a predator.
They are nothing but lies, and it should not have been accepted by the black women. That article is to bridge the gap between you, and that's the reason that article came by.
It's not an issue until the black man starts doing it.
I agree.
I got an itch in my palm. My girl, she know she the one. I put the ice on her hand. I put some ice on her arm. See me shining in the light. Know you found me in the dark. Talking how you wanna leave. Girl, you made this far. Taking trips overseas. No, I won't be long. We came up from the weeds. Now it's top floor. All these big gets on her wrist. VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. There for my first cake, then we hit on a cake. $500,000 on the way, then $1 million on the way. Eating good, full plates, eating good, say grace. Eat her up, get thanks. She got cake birthday. I can't waste no way, I can't waste no play. My girl, whoa, something like the baddest chick. My girl, whoa, came up from the rags to rich. Hit the road running, I had to tell her I had to get it. She understood, but she spoiled, so when she get mad, she dip. All these big gets on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. All these big gets on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on her, let her spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. All these big gets on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spin and I don't stress. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend.
happens when men become slaves of their consciousness to the point that they try to sabotage the joy, power, freedom, fun, belonging of others. True to the tenets of Dr. William Glasser, it appears that there's a phenomenon that has occurred called passport pirates. And while passport pirates have an urban dictionary connotation that more or less posits that there are women that come to the States and use passports as a way to steal security they need the men once they get here, I counter that argument by coming up with my own term, passport pirates, as it relates to men trying to steal the joys of other men by shaming them by not getting passports. Why is passport phenomenon becoming so recent here lately? Why is there so many men got other men's names in their mouth? We're going to explore the psychological and theoretical dynamics associated with why so many men are more or less fixated or fascinated or going through what's called a passport pirate psychosis, and we're going to more or less determine what's causing them to have these negative conniptions as we talk about male empowerment. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this show as I bring it to you live from the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel State. And I need you guys to remember this as we explore the dynamics associated with passport piracy. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. Have you been a victim of passport pirate psychosis? Let's explore the dynamics of this show and explore all the variables that could be causing men to hate on other men as they expand or try to find joy in times when masculinity appears to be under attack. Beware.
All right, guys. All right, on tonight, we're going to drop some fire for your mind because there's a condition that I created.
Fire for your mind.
Called the passport pirates.
The kosher clinician.
These passport pirates got upset because, I had a powerful show on Sunday. So powerful, guys, to the point that they got to do some bigger YouTube channels. And, I call them a sappy head Negro. Some of these goofballs, they get upset and try to accost men and denigrate men that are more or less utilizing their right to self-determination. Many times, guys, these guys are raised by women. They don't act like men because white men don't do what these goofballs do, these slow tips. And other ethnic groups of men don't do it as well. But because, black men, we are the stepping stools. We're supposed to be the cleanup men in society. When black men begin to exercise their power, because some of these boys were raised by their mothers, they don't know how to act in a very positive way. And so when they see men coming together, they use shaming language. And many times when you try to accost them for their ignorance, they'll get mad, they'll get that heel at you, and then this is what they'll say when you try to confront their thinking.
Put chain on them balls on my mom. They be broken balls. Kill some of my mom. Bro, they back me like that's on my mom. That's on my mom. That's on my mom.
Yeah, it's on their mama because they think like their mamas and they act like just like their mama. So guys, on the night, we're going to have a powerful show, I promise you. We're going to have a powerful show as we talk about the theoretical implications, the psychological implications, and then we're going to have a collaboration where men come on the panel and share their stories about passport pirates, because passport pirates, guys, are derivatives of simp service. So get ready, get your pens and paper ready, and I'm about to drop some fire for your mind on tonight. Let's do it.
Bringing to you live once again from the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel State, where the topography is serene, pristine, and verdant green, where every day is Father's Day, and where manhood is part of hills and valleys, victories and failures, And whereas men, we don't agree on all things or ideologies, but tonight we come together as allies of a common cause only to dissipate once the crisis is over. Now listen, I'm about to drop some fire for your mind. But before I drop that fire, let's explore why we are doing the Manhood Chronicles.
All right, guys. All right, we're going to turn it up. We're going to crank it up, and we're going to have a good show tonight because I want to hear what men are talking about because these passport pirates guys have lost their rabbit-loving mind. And a lot of it, guys, is because, you know, they were raised and socialized to be or to think like women. I call it matriarchal thinking, you know, and I'm going to give a guesstimation of also what I think it is, and because it could be the Stockholm Syndrome is one, you know, and then also the number one theoretical implication would be post-traumatic slavery disorder. That's a theoretical framework that was posited by Dr. DeGrasse. She's a woman. And she talked about how the ravages of slavery played a role on how we act as men. Now, listen, guys, you guys saw the movie Django in the past. And, you know, Harriet Tubman said, I could have freed a lot more if they didn't already know that they were slaves. So some people got upset, you know, because men came together. You know, they start making accusations. They start making judgment calls. They didn't have any evidence. And that's what they do. They think just like their mama because they don't think based on principle. They think just like their mama. And it's a byproduct of vicarious trauma, one, but it also is a byproduct of these men projecting their ignorance onto the masses because they want to keep you guys subjugated under their fickle ignorance. They want you to continue to give your best to a community that have not served you in the beauty of power and masculinity. They don't want you to have the best because they don't think you deserve the best. Some of these guys are broken based on abandonment. They saw their fathers abandon their mothers, and they listened to the lies many times of their mother. Sometimes it was the truth, and sometimes it was a lie. And they listened to the lies and the truth of their mother, and what they tend to do was to over-identify guys with their mother. Now listen, there's a treatment model called internal family systems. And basically what it does, it talks about generational trauma and how generational trauma plays a role on the psyche of a person. Now, there are some people, guys, that can overcome that trauma based on what they've been through. They can overcome it. But see, some people are byproducts of trauma and they are functional. And they are functional because they have a byproduct called resiliency theory. They are able to go through whatever they've been through, and they don't let that stop them from being the best version of themselves. It's called resiliency theory. They're very resilient. But being resilient does not eradicate or minimize the fact that you have been through trauma. And as Bishop Charles E. Williams said, y'all ain't gonna talk to me. Some people have been through trauma to the point that they don't even know they've been through trauma, almost like a man that's been wounded by a bullet. He doesn't know that he's been through trauma because his trauma is part of his dysfunction. But see, this dysfunctional matriarchal thinking has caused a lot of men not to know what their power is because, as I said earlier, these same goofballs that sit back and accost other men for doing what's best for them, they don't say anything where Tom and Brad and, you know, and Alex go abroad. They've been going to Asia and all parts of the world for years, dating Asian women and, you know, doing what's best for them. They didn't say anything with white women from England were coming to Jamaica and coming to Kenya and doing what's best for them. They didn't say nothing to black women when black women were going to Jamaica, having sex with them young black boys on the islands of Jamaica when Stella was getting her groove back. You know, black women have been traveling for years with passports, going to Negril, Jamaica, and different places, having sex with natives. But they didn't say anything to them. But soon as black men decide to travel, because black men are supposed to be the step stools of society, then all of a sudden it's a problem. The only thing they can say, oh, y'all tricking, you know, you just tricking y'all old men. Goofy, sappy head dudes, man, talking stupid. Y'all old men, you know, always old, and then you look at them, they look as old as you. Not understanding that age in other cultures is a sign of respect, power, and honor. A man that's going through the power of aging actually is a respected or reverenced man. But see, they got to always use shaming tactics because they think just like women. They think just like their mama because they are still hurt and they're still unconscious of the pathologies they went through or been through because their dad left them. And because their dad left them because their mother sometimes chose men like Raekwon the Madman, worthless black men. Now they're beginning to project all their pain onto men that exude masculinity because they over-identify with their moms. They over-identify. And you can't tell them nothing, guys. You can't tell them nothing. That's why it's best to ignore them. It's best to ignore them because, see, a lot of these passport pirates pop off at their gums on YouTube, but they won't say it to your face. You know, what I call them, they're magical thinking Negroes. You know, they come up with connotations. They don't know what they're talking about. Very ignorant. You know, they won't challenge you with an intellectual debate because they're not intellectual themselves. They're very emotional and very reactionary. And so, you know, I want to encourage you men to continue to love yourselves and do what's best for you. Because as I told you guys before in the past, this last election showed you guys that they didn't love and honor and respect you. They didn't give you what you needed as men to become the better versions of yourselves. They didn't pour into you as men of ethnic origin, but they did pour into themselves. And see, guys, that matrilineal thinking is not only negative, it's a condition that a lot of our boys and men have been used to. We don't know how to demand anything based on power because we've been byproduct of post-traumatic slavery disorder, one, and then also the Stockholm syndrome, where we tend to identify with our captors. And that's how the man was in Django. He was a house slave. You know, he was ignorant. He was goofy. And like Harriet Tubman said, I could have freed a lot more if they did not already know that they were slaves. Because once again, guys, many of these guys are, as I said earlier, the passport pirates.
Owner, you miss me? Huh? Oh, yes, sir. I miss you like a hog miss fly, like a baby miss mammy titty. I miss you like I miss the rock in my shoe.
Yeah, see, these goofballs, guys, you know, when you were trying to run to freedom, like so many of you men are doing there, you guys are trying to freedom because you're tired of being slaves in a gynocratic system that does not honor and respect you as men. You are tired of giving your best to women that see you as less. And I want to give a special shout out to the good women. There are some noble good sisters out there. Shout out to you sisters striving to do the right thing. But secondly, ladies, it's not enough of you. And if you love these men, if you want to see these men happy, you got to allow these men to do what's best for them. Because watch this, guys, especially you guys that are getting older, middle-aged to a little younger. Your time on this earth is not promised. Life makes for no man. My sister had this year, my cousin that I grew up in high school, he died. He died probably for a myriad of reasons. But if he was stressed out, not taking care of his health, he expired. So you would be a fool to let a passport pirate, because that's what they are, they're passport pirates, because they want to steal your fun. They want to steal your freedom. They want to steal your ability to belong. They want to steal your ability to survive. And they want to steal your ability to live your life on your own terms. Because, see, watch this. Dr. Wim Glasser talked about it because it is a powerful concept. It's a powerful theoretical framework called choice theory. And what choice theory posits is this. You have the right to live your life on your own terms. But stay away from passport pirates, guys, because they're really just broken men. They think just like their mamas. They don't know any better. They're goofy. You know, they always attack you through emotions instead of attacking you through logic. And like I told you guys, some of these men are deaf too. They deny the evidence when you present them with the evidence. You have some of these passport pirates saying, oh, these guys don't have women, they don't have game. And then a lot of the brothers on the panel got wives, some of them got girlfriends that they're already married to. Oh, these guys are just dealing with prostitutes. They're just dealing with prostitutes. Goofy, just goofy, real goofy. Don't have a bit of sense. And I'm gonna tell you something, guys. I get real concerned when men are so preoccupied with what a man do with his phallus. Maybe some of these guys have the Oedipus complex. They love, meat, because I never understood it. You're concerned with what men do with their phallus and their money. It's the dumbest thing that I ever heard of. But see, I was not raised by my mama. No disrespect to the brothers that were. I was raised by my dad. And even though my dad was a laid back man, I grew up in a time where the men were masculine. We didn't tell other men what to do with their money. That's goofy. But see, the guys you got to worry about, guys, are these slow tips. The slow tips and some of these simp surfers, they always look through the lens of blackness through a monolith. And many times looking through blackness through the lens of monolithic thinking, it always goes back to gynocratic thought. Dr. T. Hassan Johnson talked about something called the gynopotestal order. Shout out to him. And so what they do, they take the woman and place all of her worth and power at the top, and they see you as a drone, like a goofy old drone, like a bee that's flying around serving the queen. The queen said, I gotta do what the queen said. But I'm telling you something, I wish a man would ever try to tell me how to live my life. And all these keyboard pirates and passport pirates bumping off their gums, you won't say it to my face. Because I promise you, take away me being a therapist, the man in me, you'll get your jaw slacked. It's easy to sit back and talk junk, think you all intelligent, but you won't say it to my face. I promise you I'll slacken your jaw. And that's what's wrong with the world now. You got these old goofballs that don't know anything about another man. They have a byproduct and a condition called magical thinking, magical thinking. They don't have no power. They don't have no evidence to what they're talking about. But they sit back and bump off at their gums because they don't want you to have power, or they don't want you to be liberated. They don't want to see you liberated. Because see, masculine men like seeing other masculine men live their lives on their own terms. I would never tell another man how to live his life or try to shame him into gynocratic thought. We're going to do what the gynocracy say, because if we don't, we're not honoring our mama. I told you guys before in the past, the first step to being a man is to check your mama when you need to check your mama. It does not mean you don't love your mama. It does not mean that you don't honor your mom. But if your mom get too far out of order, mama can get this work too. Because see, when you can check your mama, then you can check other men. But see, some of you men are still slaves because you've been socialized and conditioned by your mama. And see, when other men try to tell you things, you get mad and you get in your feelings, and then you want to fight them, and then you get that heat out, and this is what you say when you get that heat out. Because see, these cats now, they don't talk, they shoot. They don't use their fists, they just shoot you. They'll kill you because they've been raised by their mama, and many times they have the spirit of a hyena. They're hyenas. They act like hyenas. They're very weird. Because I'm gonna tell you something, stay away from guys that have a preoccupation with what men do with their fellas. Those guys either were in prison or they're this weird and goofy. They want to have a monopoly on women. And so if you don't come through them, because some of these guys have narcissistic traits, if you don't come through them, then you're not man enough. So I'm gonna challenge you guys, you don't have to go do anybody. You don't have to answer to anybody but God. That's all you got to answer to. You don't have to answer some of these goofballs on the internet. Some of these guys live in basements. They're weird dudes, man, projecting their insecurities onto you with their game plans and all this goofy stuff. But like I said, in person, they won't say it to your face because they'll get their jaw slacked. Once again, I'm talking as a man now. I'm not talking as a therapist. See, there's a difference. I'm a man and then I'm a therapist. But if you come to my face as a man, you're going to get this work. If either I beat you, you beat me, or it's a draw. Because see, I don't deal with, or more or less, accost other men based on their lifestyles or what they do with their bodies. I don't say nothing to other men because that's weird to me. But like I said, when you try to challenge these goofballs, guys, this is what they'll say.
Yeah, put chain on the balls on my mom. They be broken balls. Kill some of my mom. Bro, they back me look like gang. That's on my monkey. Gang. That's on my monkey. Gang. That's on my monkey.
And once again, guys, they don't ever attack the message. They won't ever attack the message. They won't attack the message because once again, they have cognitive dissonance. Guys, let me read you some of these comments on the night. Shout out to the panel. You guys are doing an awesome job, man. I appreciate you, brothers, because we're going to have a collaboration on the night. We're going to have an anecdotal collaboration at some point. I want you guys to be participants on tonight. At some point, as we talk about some of the things you guys have been through, because sadly that show that we had on Sunday made some of these passports pirates upset, and they're not ready to be liberated. They want you guys to stay on the plantation. They don't want you to have a feminine woman. They don't want you to have a fit woman. They don't want you to have a woman that has been trained and conditioned and socialized to love, honor, and respect her man. They don't want you to have that. They want you to deal with women that want to make you a rat. That's what they want you to do. They want you to deal with women that want to make you a rat. A woman that want to take your resources, a woman that wants your attention, a woman that wants your time, a woman that want to give you, that wants security and settlement for sex that she gave to other men for free. She gave it to Raekwon the Man for free. She didn't acquire Raekwon the Man to do anything. She just gave it to him. But she wants you to give her the benefits of a traditional woman when she's not traditional herself. That's why, guys, at some point, if you plan to stay here in America, you have to make her earn it. I'm going to say it again. If you plan to stay here in America, you have to make her earn it. Make her earn that ring. Put her through rigorous testing. Make that woman earn that ring. Because see, if she's not willing to earn that ring, it means that she's not mentally disciplined. I'm going to say it again. If she's not willing to earn that ring, she's not mentally disciplined. Because a woman that's mentally disciplined is a woman that's ready to do what's best to make you a happy man. And there are some good women out here that have not been picked and chosen. So some of you guys going to stay here in Sodom and Gomorrah in this wasteland, sadly, called America in some spots. And it's not all America, because I love America. But I don't love the behaviors associated with some of these modern women, because they have not tried to, or they will not change their behaviors. And it's okay. Recuse yourself of passport pirates that want to steal your joy, and recuse yourself of these modern hyenas. Alone, don't worry about it. Let them talk about you being old, because that's what weak dudes do. Is they attack you instead of attacking your message. They don't have any game. But then when you go look at them, they old themselves. They're old, but they want to call you old, but they're old. They're basically the same age as you, but they're calling you old. That's goofy, man. Men don't do stupid stuff like that. In the meantime, shout out to what the guys are saying, man. I'm sure send a special shout out to guys that love offering these super chats. Shout out to you guys. Let me hit you guys with so shout out to my man, the Narc Perspective. I call him the Little Hobbit, man. This is Leo season turn up. Shout out to the Narc Perspective. I saw him in Atlanta about 2 weeks ago. Love that young brother. And that's a deal, right? And I appreciate it. Because of your time, meritorious love offering Narc Perspective.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Because you got that Leo swag like I do. You are the #1 sponsor of the stream. No doubt. He said, a little support, brother. Keep up the good work. I appreciate it in our perspective. Much love and blessings to you. And guys, in the meantime, that robot keep telling me, he said, listen, I know that the show is early, but the robot said, man, tell them guys to feed me, man, because I'm hungry. I got to eat. I got to pay these bills. So guys, do me a favor. Hit that like button, slam it, and now feed that robot. No doubt, no doubt. I'm going to look up something Lavelle Robinson said. Lavelle Robinson came with a condition called drapetomania. It was a supported mental illness that in the 1851 American physician Samuel A. Cartwright invented. They said slave runaway became cause of a mental illness. I got to see what he's talking about. But shout out to my man, Peaceful Life. That's my brother. He said that they wouldn't care if they felt like there was a pile of gold. The fact that they care, it means they know that we are right. Yes, it's projections, classic projection. Some of these guys are weird, because they think by popping off of their gums, they're going to shame. I laugh at cats like that, guys, because, guys, I told you in these times when these goofballs try to shame you into silence, you don't argue with them. You just show them with your hands and your feet. And like Bruce Lee said, because Bruce Lee said it better than me, Bruce Lee said that, guys, you must be like water.
That's ISO? Rack it up, I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it up, she got her hands on her knees and
my homie Ingram said that on my mom is like running fingernails across a chalkboard. Looks like a complete failure. You're right, brother. I agree with you, man. Shout out to him. Shout out to MC Recovery. He says, Simp Surfer, I think they should be glad that men are getting their passports. It's really more U.S. women for them. Right, MC Recovery. Why do you care? We ain't got game. We goofy. We're old. Like this goofball said, attacking brothers. Don't know what he's talking about. Because, he got an affinity for Cass up top. I noticed he didn't talk about Cass up top with his goofy behind. But, the crazy thing is this. The guys that ran up top or the guys from up top were from the South. And most Southerners turned over cats are up top. They led the drug game up top, even though I'm not saying it was right, but they were running the drug game. Cats from the South took the drug game up top, Bumpy Johnson, also Frank Lucas, and they turned New York upside down. Not saying it's right, and I'm not an advocate of people using drugs, but it's just never this foolish thinking that, Southerners are stupid and ignorant. But it's funny to me because I promise that goofball don't have as many degrees as I have. He cannot touch me intellectually, and definitely probably can't see me physically. So just recruit yourself of these goofballs that run their mouth using shaming language. He's old, they're old, they can't get their penis. I mean, goofy stuff, man. Who does that, man? That's weird. That's weird that men are concerned about what men do with their bodies. But these same slow taps won't say nothing about these same women that do what they want to do. They don't say nothing. They don't say nothing when women do the same thing because their mama is black. And, matriarchal slaves. That's what they are. They're matriarchal slaves. And when guys, you try to run away and do what's best for you, they want to pull you back on the plantation because they have, once again, guys, the Stockholm Syndrome.
Owner, you miss me? Huh? Oh, yes, sir. I miss you like a hog miss fly, like a baby. Miss Mammy Titty. I miss you like I miss the rock in my shoe.
Yeah, goofy, Stockholm Syndrome. And you don't argue with people like that. Just laugh at them because, they got unconscious pathologies. They don't know any better. They're victims of internal family system. They're victim of trauma based on what their mothers and sometimes their fathers went through. But they're just victims of their own ignorance. They're projecting their pain, sometimes consciously and subconsciously. And many people that go do the theoretical framework of IFS, which is internal family systems, it basically, what it does, it looks at generational trauma. Now, some folks say, they don't believe in trauma. Well, you might not believe in it, but just because you don't believe in it does not mean that it's not real. Trauma is real. Now, I don't believe that people should use trauma as a scapegoat to justify all behaviors. I'm not saying that. But our ancestors were able to overcome, even though they went through trauma, they were able to overcome the trauma. But many of our ancestors were functional in their trauma, but it does not eradicate the fact that they did go through trauma. So just because they went through it and they were able to build pillars, many of them suffered in a negative cycle over a span of time because they never really got the work done. Many people use the Bible and the gospel and spiritual hymns to help them cope, as we say in the clinical world, as our healthy coping mechanisms. The hymns was our healthy coping mechanisms for a lot of people. They used the hymns to overcome the ravages of Jim Crow slavery. But it still did not mean that everybody that overcame through resiliency were able to more or less deal with it. A lot of men that went through slavery or generational trauma, they would end up abusing their women. Sometimes they would drink or they would have a bunch of extramarital affairs because they were broken men. That's why a lot of times preachers use the church as a safeguard to get their power because they were broken. They were broken. Many preachers use the church as a safeguard to get their power because that was the only place that they could feel like they were men. Black men were never given the power as other men to feel like they had power. But I'm not saying you got to let your circumstance dictate or make you become a victim. I'm not saying that. You were victimized, but you don't have to be a victim forever. But you do have to understand how post-traumatic slavery disorder and somewhat now in these modern times, Stockholm Syndrome has played a role on your psyche. And once you understand that, you have to restructure how you think about what you're thinking about. Similar to what Mr. Palmer said, you have to change, guys, the law in your mind. Shout out to my man, Cody March, for that $2 super sticker. He said, keep teaching, brother. I appreciate it. And you're right there, Robinson. They want you to suffer just like them, but you don't have to suffer. Because I'm going to tell you something. Once you get under the umbrella of a feminine woman, you will never be the same again. It's intoxicating. That's why guys, when they leave, they begin to cry because they're not used to dealing with that femininity. They are victims of a condition called affection deprivation. They have been depraved of affection because they live in a country where they have to buy that affection, where in other countries, the affection that these women give men, it's just natural. They have been conditioned and trained to honor their men. Now, there was a time in the black community when that was normal. There was a time when women honored and respected their men. But it's not like that anymore, sadly. It's not like that anymore. And so what these passport pirates want to do, they want to steal your joy. They want to steal your peace. They want to steal your happiness. They don't want you to have power because they always attack you based on your power because your passport is power. They don't want you to have any fun, to be on the sunny beaches of Colombia or Venezuela or Brazil or Africa or wherever. They don't want you to belong. They want you to belong to their gynocratic thoughts, but they don't want you to belong. They don't want you to have freedom to live your life as you want to live your life, because based on what Dr. Glasser said, that's one of the elements or the principles of choice theory. And then also, they don't want you to more or less survive. They want you to continue to ruminate in this negative culture that we're in now. They don't want you to expand your mind and see the world from what you can see it as for. There's a king, guys, inside of all of you. There's a king in every man that's listening to this channel. And I use that phrase euphemistically. I'm not saying that every man is a literal king, but there's a king in every man to be a ruler and a conqueror of his own domain. It's in every man's nature. But see, these matriarchal gynocrats, they have podestal thinking, shout out to Dr. T. Hassan Johnson, and also some of these goofballs that want you to be subjugates and commodities of their subjugation. They don't want you to live life on your own terms because they're very solipsistic. And so when guys begin to run away, they get scared. They start using shaming language. Oh, you guys ain't got game. You guys are weak. You Negroes or whatever. You guys are old. Y'all diabetic. Just laugh at them. It's funny because they're goofy. Because men won't tell you to your face because they'll get their jaw slack. I said it. They'll get their jaw slack if they say it to your face. That's weak. That's what weak men do. Masculine men don't do stuff like that, man. I would never tell a man, once again, as I said earlier, how to live his life. But watch this, guys. They can say their body, their choice, but you can't say your money, your penis, your choice. Make it make sense. They can have all the rights and the freedoms to live their lives on their own terms and nobody say anything. But then when you, being a free black man or white man or whatever, want to live your life on your own terms, and all of a sudden it's a problem. Well, you're going to serve the community. But where was the community back in 2000 where many did not vote for community? They voted for themselves. They didn't vote for community. They voted for themselves. They did not vote for community, black boys, black families, black kids. They voted for power. And I'm okay with that. See, I'm okay with women voting for power, the large percentage that did. Shout out once again to the good sisters that did vote for a community. There were some good sisters that voted for a family and community. So shout out to those sisters. So guys, you gotta use your power to vote for power. They were, they were bold, they were flossing. They were saying passports, chucks and pearls. They were saying chucks and pearls to a woman that was complicit in incarcerating many men. They were saying chucks and pearls, and that's fine. Do you? Now, guys, it's time for you to say passports and pearls. Hashtag passports and pearls, because you have a right to be free. You have a right to have power. You have a right to have fun. You have a right to belong. And you have a right to survive on your own terms. And you don't owe no man nothing. So let them talk. Let them bump their gums. As long as they don't put their hands on you. You can bump your gums. You can talk trash. You can call folks grown men old. They buying prostitutes, all this stuff. Don't put your hands on me, because I promise you, put your hands on me, you're going to get your jaw slack. You're going to get the slack. It's going to be hanging from a pin. You're going to get your head rocked. So as long as you can talk all the junk you want to, as long as you don't put your hands on me. I don't care about that. Just talk. I don't care. Because these guys, once again, guys, they were raised by their mama. They weren't raised by men. They were raised by their mamas. They never seen power in raw masculinity. They never seen their father execute in the power of masculinity. It was always based on what their mama had said or done. And so some of you guys feel guilty because you feel like you owe it to the community to be loyal to them, but you don't. See, in behavioral modification, in a relationship, you got to benefit and they got to benefit. But see, if they're benefiting and you're not benefiting, then it's not a positive relationship. But see, some of you guys for so long have been giving your virtue away for free, and they're not giving you anything in return because they think that they're better than you. But see, that's why some of you men are so loved when you travel abroad, when you go look for your wives, because those women actually respect what you do. Because see, in those other countries, those men don't care. Those men sometimes are abusive. Those men leave their women. Those men hit their women. But see, American men have been trained not to do that. And so that's why the relationships work so well. Foreign women are not perfect. Foreign women got game. Foreign women will lie. Women are women wherever you go. At her base level, at her base nature, all women are the same. At their base nature, they're all the same. Now, there are some variances at the top as it relates to temperament, as it relates to intrinsicity or their intrinsic worth. But overall, most women want to be loved, they want provision, they want protection, because they're survivalists by nature. They're insular, meaning they're built inward. They're very insular. Women want to survive. They want to survive. So women are the same. That's why when you do go abroad, to you single men, you got to continue to be a man. You got to stand in your masculinity. You can't overindulge and overgive her and make her feel, because in America, you've been taught to be a simp. But when you go abroad, you can't be a simp. You got to be a man. You cannot supplement irrational male patterns when you go abroad. You can love your woman, but you can't be a simp. You can love her, but you can't be a simp. You still got to set boundaries, because as I tell people in therapy, you have to set boundaries. Watch this. Your value system will determine what your boundaries are. I'm going to say it again. Your value system will determine what your boundaries are. So if you value respect, then your boundary is don't disrespect me. If you value honor, then your boundary is don't dishonor me. If you value femininity, then your boundary is you need to be feminine. If you value loyalty, then your boundary is don't be disloyal. You set a line of what's called demarcation. It's a clear line. And once that woman crossed that line, then that's going to be a punishment. You have to punish bad behavior. You have to punish it right away. You don't play with bad behavior, because when you don't punish bad behavior, you're teaching that woman that her worth is better than yours. And the same goes to the good women that are listening. See, I believe in being fair, but see, my channel is not about female empowerment. My channel is about male empowerment. And my channel is about women that are trying to change and learn to come and listen to what I'm saying, because some of these women do want to learn. But sadly, these men are part of a new revolution where they're beginning to love themselves. They begin to do what's best for them. They begin to live their lives on their own terms. And they're saying, you are not going to stop me. I'm going to live my life on my own terms. I'm not going to be a victim of guilt. I'm not going to be a victim of shame anymore. I'm not going to let gynocratic thinking stop me from taking my life to the next level. And as Bishop Charles E. Williams said, y'all ain't going to talk to me. Let me look at some of these comments, guys. I'm going to look through some of these comments, and then I'm going to go through these super chats. Shout out to Omar Hogue. He said, I don't think passport pirates are mentally ill. They don't want anything for themselves, so why would they want anything from you? Excellent point. But think about it. You don't have to have a bona fide mental illness, but you can have thinking errors, which are byproducts of mental illness. So it might not be a bona fide organic diagnostic mental illness, but it can be thinking errors. And those thinking errors are called ego defense mechanisms. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Shout out to Jenny Morena. She said, thank you for the reminder. Shout out to Tim for that $10 super sticker. He says, preach, coach. And that's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That brother. Peaceful Lifestyle. I just got on YouTube jail yesterday. I would be cooking these simp servers and pickup scammers all week. Shout out to Peaceful Life for the $10 super sticker. And it's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Awesome job on tonight. These comments, hold tight. Shout out to Top Gun. Top Gun said, Ted DiBiase said it best. Every man has a price. These loser suckers are just trying to capitalize monetarily for the controversy and satisfy their mama at the same time, no doubt. But we're not going to be slaves. That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? For you to rise up the banner of masculinity. No longer be a slave of negative thinking. Remodify your thoughts, remodify your mind, restructure your thoughts, restructure your mind. Use thought-stopping techniques when these simp surfers try to tell you to get back on the plantation and fall back in line. Shout out to Jim Rather. He said that TBH coaches, I'm thinking to think that every man that hate and try to keep other men business in their mouths are suspect, in my opinion. No doubt, I totally agree, man. Shout out to you, Coach. Right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Got 5 on it. My man Andrew Baker, he said that salute coach who just got back from Colombia. There you go, brother. Andrew Baker, I want you to come up at some point, man, and tell the story about the joy that you have. You feel comfortable. And shout out to Andrew Baker for that $20. That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Andrew Baker, because of your love offering, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Number one, it's a number one sponsor. Thank you, Andrew Baker. You Are Tired is the number one sponsor. Thank you. And see, you know, the crazy thing, guys, is this. Because needs do drive behaviors, what you see in men do now, guys, is come together. It's called the universality of brotherhood. It's a term that we use in group therapy. It's called universality. Basically, universality means when men share their pain, they all come together as a collective to share their pain. But then there's a concept called recaptive recapitulation, corrective recapitulation. It basically means they're going to go back in the past and correct what they lost to get back in right standing again. I'm going to say it again. Corrective recapitulation simply means this. I'm going to go back in the past and correct what I lost in order to restore myself again. And some of you men got to go back, like they said in that old gospel song, I'm going to clean up what I messed up. I'm going to start my life over again. And that's what you guys got to do. And then what men do, they do what's called, they compare the evidence. Men are beginning to compare the evidence, and it's coming out unanimously through anecdotal evidence. It is anecdotal that there's a crisis in America. There's a crisis in heteronormative relationships, and because of that, men are saying, you know what? I'm not getting my needs met, and so you know what? It's going to be passports and pearls. I'm going to get a passport and give my pearls to women that honor and respect me as a man. No longer will I cast my pearls to what the Bible says, swine. And I'm not calling people a pig. Verbatim, I'm talking about the behavior. I'm not talking about a literal pig, but I'm talking about the behavior. Men are saying, I'm not going to cast my pearls to swine anymore. I'm going to give my pearls to feminine women. I'm going to give my pearls to kind women. I'm going to give my pearls to respectful women. Women that have been raised to honor and respect me as a man. But what you got to do, men, you got to be men. You cannot change the mantle of masculinity. You cannot change that. You got to continue to stand firm as men. Keep your head up high. Set boundaries in that relationship. Love your woman, but check her when she's wrong. Because see, women love it when men protect them. That's part of loving her, is setting boundaries. How can you say you love your woman, you don't set boundaries? Because see, women are going to test you just like children test you. They're going to see if you're on your square, but see, every time you fail their test, then that she's beginning to lose respect for you. And now she's saying that you can't be, she can't feel safe because you don't have any standards. Women feel safe under a canopy or an umbrella. That's why it's God, it's Christ, it's man, woman, and children. It's a canopy. But see, a lot of men now, are saying, or women are saying that they don't feel safe because many of these boys have been raised to think just like matriarchs. They've been raised to think like their mamas. And they don't know any better because they are unconscious simps. A term that I created because I am the culture clinician, but they are unconscious simps. I didn't create the word simp, but I did create an abridged to that called the unconscious simp. He supplements irrational male patterns. I'm going to say it again. He supplements, which means to give. He's irrational because the thoughts that he's doing, men don't think like that. And he's a male, he's not a man, because manhood is a series of hills and valleys, victories and failures. You are born a male, but you don't become a man until you go through the fire. And then there's a pattern of thinking. And that pattern of thinking is always to defer his power as a man and not ask of anything from that woman that he's dealing with. And that's what happens when guys are born in single parent raised homes. They don't know any better. But see, when you know better, you got to do better. But when you're a victim of vicarious trauma, when you're a victim of Stockholm syndrome, when you're a victim of post-traumatic slavery disorder, you don't know that you're a slave. You don't know that you're dealing with pathologies because you have not been to therapy. Because many times folks don't go to therapy in the Black community, sadly. They don't go to it because they say that's what white folks do. But therapy is for everybody. Therapy is no different than going to a doctor. It's no different than going to a physician or any other thing. It's the healing of the mind. It's a healing of helping you understand your thinking errors. It's a healing of understanding, helping you understand repressive thoughts. Some of you guys, because of trauma, have repressed your thoughts. That's an unhealthy ego defense mechanism. You repress your thoughts and you have not dealt with them adequately. But you have to challenge those thoughts. You have to challenge those people. And you have to break that psychic mold that your mothers have on you if you want to be the man that God called you to be. And you can't worry about these goofy simp surfers. You don't argue with them. You don't debate with them. Just tell them, just don't put your hands on me. Because if you put your hands on me, you're going to get your jaw slacked. Just tell them that. Because see, I used to work with convicts. I was a CO at one point. I used to tell them all the time, win, lose, or draw, you might get me. but it's going to be ugly. And that's what you got to tell them. Because see, these guys that were raised by their mothers, once again, they don't fight you fairly, they'll shoot you, or they'll fight dirty. So you got to make sure you're on your square with these goofy men. Shout out to some more of the comments, and Tanza and Thazio Davis, the passport by the millions, one new passport, bro, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Shout out to him. Gregory Scotland said, my thought is that we need to stop explaining to any of these individuals. Right, yeah, right, you got to explain nothing to anybody. Don't go on their panels trying to prove anything to them. They didn't ask these women about chucks and pearls why they voted for certain candidates. They didn't have to go on panels explaining their position. These women had to go on panels talking about why they went to Negril, Jamaica, getting with them young bucks in Jamaica. They didn't say nothing. But see, when black men travel, once again, oh, they're just going over there tricking. But you're tricking here in America, goofball. Marriage is the biggest form of prostitution. It's legalized prostitution, but it's the biggest form of prostitution. Because what you're trying to do, you're trying to barter something for something in return. You're exchanging resources for the sake of having in-house sex. So marriage is a form of legalized prostitution. I said it. Insurance is a form of legalized gambling. They're betting that you don't get in trouble. That's why you're paying that rate every month. They're betting that you don't get sick. They're betting that you don't die because they want to keep making that money off you. When you're paying those high premiums for life insurance or car insurance, it's a form of legalized gambling because gambling is playing the odds. The same with marriage. It's a form of legalized prostitution. You're paying and hoping that you'll get in-house sex. But this is what happens for a lot of men dealing with modern women. You get married and think you're going to get sex forever. And so when she said, well, I don't feel like it, my head hurt, using it as a cop-out because she don't want to take care as a man, she'll say, it's my body and you can't make me do anything. And some of these goofballs sitting home because they're not getting no loving from their woman, I'm doing this. Yeah, they're married, but they are alone. You got a lot of men that are married and they are alone. These same women say, oh, I love God, I love Jesus, the Lord saved me, but yet you use sex as a means to weaponize it, not to take care of your man. But you talk about Christ every day. You go to church shouting and hollering, screaming and slobbering at the mouth, but you don't take care of your man in the bedroom. And some of you goofballs set up and allow them to do it. You still paying bills. You still rewarding bad behavior. You don't reward bad behavior. If she's not taking care of you, you don't take care of her. When she says, my body, I don't have to do it. You say, it's my money, I don't have to do it. It's my resources, I don't have to do it. It's my protection, I don't have to do it either. And you tell her she don't change that behavior, she's going to get fired. You do not reward bad behaviors. You don't reward it. You reward good behavior. You take care of women that take care of you. You take care of women that honor you. You take care of women that respect you. You take care of women that are disciplined as women. You take care of those women. Because see, when you take care of her, if she's a righteous woman, she's going to take care of you. But see, these women in these modern times have not been conditioned to take care of you. Because they have been conditioned, sometimes consciously and unconsciously, deliberate indoctrination. They've been conditioned to see you as less than. And some of you, your self-esteem is so low, you just tolerate anything. You just tolerate, she's nice, tolerate anything, man. And you don't have to tolerate anything from nobody because there's a king inside of you. There's a king inside of you that's waiting and willing to give the next woman the things that she needs. I'm going to tell some of you men are not quite ready to be leaders yet, and it's okay. That's why you need to come see me at coachyourclinician@gmail.com to help you get rid of some of those thinking errors and those schema afflictions. Some of these men that have that gynoprotestal thought processes, shout out to Dr. Tia San Johnson again, also have what's called schema afflictions. A schema is a negative fixation due to pain. A schema could say, I'm not good enough. A schema could say, I hate my dad. A schema could say that men are lames. A schema could say that black men are not good. And that affliction is due to pain or fear. Schema, fixated thought, affliction due to pain or fear based on the pain of what they went through in their past. And so until you get into the mindset of changing how you think about thinking, and doing it on a consistent basis, you will never become the best version of yourself as a man. You have to go back and re-evolve as a man. You have to go back in time and go back and find out what you lost in time, recover that, and move forward. And once you move forward, you got to set consistent boundaries. And you can't worry about some of these goofballs that come on these channels or come on your pages or talk about you, calling you old and all this goofy mess. You can't worry about them guys because they were raised by women. And many of these guys don't know any better because they are simp surfers.
Why are you destroying our planet?
I have no choice.
Yeah, simp service. Simp service said they have no choice. You know, they feel like they ain't got no choice. They feel like they don't have no choice but to disrespect other men with what they do with their money and their phallus. You know, they feel like they have no other choice but to defend the gynocracy because the black woman is a god. You know, they don't know any better, you know. So you don't argue with those goofballs. You just keep moving on, man. Shout out to OCGM. He said, I was in Prague 3 months ago. Every woman in that city looked like a feminine woman. Long, real hair and hardly any tats. Keep loving yourselves and traveling. No doubt, man. Travel, man. Travel is powerful. Tim, hold on for a minute, my man, Gregory Scott. Hold tight, guys. Give me 1 minute. All right. Shout out to my man XL Pro for that $10, $5 super sticker. Thank you, XL Pro. I appreciate it, brother. XL Pro, guys, is an awesome brother. As I said, always earlier, XL Pro is always showing folks love. Much respect to XL Pro. Respect that brother highly, no doubt. Shout out to him. And hold tight, guys. Hold tight, guys. And then also shout out to Gregory Scotland for that. Shout out to Gregory Scotland for that PayPal. Let me look at it real quick. Gregory, hold tight. I want to make sure I honor you guys. Hold tight. Shout out to Gregory Scotland for that PayPal. Gregory Scotland, no doubt, he just dropped me with that 20 piece. Shout out to Gregory Scotland for that $20 cash out on PayPal. Thank you, Gregory Scotland. And Gregory Scotland for your kind meritorious offering. You are one of the sponsors, Gregory Scotland. No doubt. So let me read through some of this stuff, guys. We'll continue to read through some of these comments on the night. Gregory, I got it, man. It said it's on hold for some reason. Said money on hold. I got to figure out. I don't know if you sent it to my regular account. Gregory, maybe, yeah. It says it's on hold, so I got to figure out why. But it's okay. Don't worry about it. I appreciate it, Gregory. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it. Shout out to Afro National. Shout out to the Red Man, Trade the Man. Shout out for that $10 super sticker.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
And I appreciate it, brother.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Again, he said, any woman that cannot adhere to a man with a system or instructions is a loser. A man of repute doesn't need to be with losers. No doubt, brother. I appreciate it 1,000%. Yeah, 1,000% correct. Shout out to once again, MC Recovery. He said, I used to second guess myself so much that I thought it was something wrong with me, as if my picker of women was broken in my thinking patterns. Yes, sir, and many men deal with it and go through it as well. Shout out to Jenny Morena. Shout out to her. Hold tight, guys. Gail Nelson said, I made a video about always saying yes to your husband. He married you for access to your body. Then some feminists said, I'm promoting marital rape. Yeah, they're crazy. And that's why I keep telling you guys, man, don't waste your time with these dysfunctions. Because they'll have you screwed up and messed up in the head because they are messed up in the head. So don't waste your time dealing with these delusional women because they don't add anything of value to your life. Your life and your focus should be you, your children, your woman, and your mission, and the women that honor and respect you. Go to a country like where Gail Nelson was born, where the women have been conditioned to honor and respect their women, their husbands. Don't argue with most modern Western women because they have been indoctrinated. Don't argue with them. Just go on with your life and don't just move on with your life, because that's the best way or the best thing to do, guys, if you want to be the best version of yourself. So I want to continue to talk about these passport pirates, guys. I want to continue to talk about it. And I want to show you guys something real quick. We're going to talk about, the theoretical implication. We're going to talk about the psychological implication. Then we're going to have what's called a collaboration. So I want to show you guys something real quick. And this woman talked about something called post-traumatic slavery disorder, because many of these goofballs that's constantly challenge you as men have went through that condition called post-traumatic slavery disorder. And they don't know it. And see, I don't know if post-traumatic slave syndrome is a real diagnosis, but it's real. It's very real. And like I said, you can be a victim of mental illness and mental distress, and you don't know it. You don't know it. You're dysfunctional in your trauma. But see, I'm going to share something with you guys I meant to say earlier. I'm going to share something with you guys that I said earlier. I don't use this word. I hear a lot of men saying, and I know some brothers that mean well by it, but I don't use it, because when you use that negative framework, that negative phraseology, you're often more or less assuaging or accommodating the negative thoughts of the person that captured you in the first place. So many people they say they use that NIGGA word. I don't use that. I think it's very disrespectful. I know some people say it's a term of endearment, but it's not. You will not find another ethnic group of people that uses the language of the oppressor and more or less try to curtail it to make themselves feel better. We're so dysfunctional, sadly, as a people, that we tend to ruminate in our own ignorance and our own pathologies. You don't hear Jews using ethnic slurs and just twisting it to justify their goofiness. But see, guys, what happened because of the great split in the South, I am from the South, you had house slaves and you had field slaves. The house slave thought he was better, just like this goofball on Django. He thought he was better. But see, the house slave really had a repressed ego. He had a low self-esteem. In order to make himself feel better, he had to identify with the captor. It's called Stockholm Syndrome once again. So the repressed slave had to over-identify with the captor. And so because he hated himself, he displaced his aggression to the field slave. And so in the South, it's a Southern colloquialism. Look it up if you don't believe me. They didn't say the ER, but they said the NIGGA. I used to hear my grandparents saying it years ago. I said, why did they say that? But they said that because they heard their grandmother say it, and their great-grandmother say that NIGGA word. But folks now say, it's just a term. It's not a term of endearment. It's ignorance. What you're doing, you're ruminating based on the ravages of slavery. You're internalizing what the slave master taught you when you use that goofy stuff, that goofy sentiment. So I don't use it. I don't hate some of my brothers that do use it. I don't think they should use it. I respect them. But see, when you know better, you do better. But you will not find Indians, Jews, Chinese, or any other ethnic group using the terminology or the phraseology of the oppressor. Regardless of how you coin it, it's still negative social thinking. It's negative unconscious pathologies. And once again, men like that, like this goofball that was on Django, he over-identified with his captor to the point that he projected his anger due to displaced aggression on the field slaves to make himself feel like he was somebody of worth. You gotta understand that at one point, black folks were seen as 3/5 human in the modern times of living in colonial America. But prior to that, you go back to ancient Africa, ancient Kush, ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, ancient Mali, ancient Songhai. We always look at the greatness of black folks through the lens of slavery and oppression. And see what that does, it keeps you in a state of arrested development to the point that when you see your brothers begin to excel or become better, you guys are not used to it because you have a fragile ego. And that's what we call some of the tentacles or some of the residual effects of post-traumatic slavery disorder. There have been some studies that say that trauma can also be in the genetic code. I used to think it was a fallacy, but it's not. I do believe it's true now. Men that worry about what other men do, folks that have a low self-esteem, some of our women have low self-esteem because of their hair. I love black hair. I think women with natural hair is awesome as long as they clean it. Because it's one thing to have natural hair, it's another thing to look like Bert off Sesame Street with lint and all that crap in it. But I love that C3 and C4 hair. I love natural hair. I think it's gorgeous. But some of you guys go around saying the words of the oppressor. That's why anytime you see other men trying to rise up to the mantle of success, you can't handle it because on a subconscious level, you see yourself as less than. And that's some of the benefits, or not the benefits, some of the negative unconscious pathologies that were more or less impacted upon you due to slavery. Generational trauma. Great-grandmom used to say it. Your grandmom said it. Your mama said it. Some of these women that have a hatred for their husbands and a hatred for men, it's called matrilineal succession. Their great-grandmom said men won't ish. Then their grandmother said men won't ish. Then their mama said men won't ish. And then their daughter's going around saying men won't ish. Living through what's called vicarious trauma over something that had nothing to do with them. So even though you don't have to be going through the trauma now, and you don't have to let the trauma make you a victim of your past, you don't have to be a saboteur of your own ignorance. You do have to understand how it more or less impacts you in a psychological way, conscious and or unconscious. You got to understand it. And see, once you understand it, you got to change how you think about thinking. That's why therapy is so important. But once again, black folks use the hymns. And there's nothing wrong with that, because in the clinical model, we call it the bio, we call it the psycho, we call it the social, and we call it the spiritual model. Men and women are what's called integrated beings. They're integrated. One impacts the other. Body, soul, spirit. Integrated beings. Psychosomatic. Psycho, mind, soma, body. Psycho, mind, soma, body. Sometimes the mind can push your body further than it really wanted to be pushed. But sometimes your body can more or less destroy your will. That's why the gospel said that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So you have to make sure both are calibrated and grounded so you can get the best results. So I'm going to give you guys a contextual framework of the theoretical implications of post-traumatic slavery disorder. Because Dr. DeGraw is a real woman. Let me actually look it up, post-traumatic slavery disorder. Dr. DeGraw is a real woman, and I think it's a real phenomenon. I don't know if it's in the DSM-5. Hold tight. But if it's not in the DSM-5, it needs to be in the DSM-5, not to make you become a victim, but to make you understand how your issues impacted you in a negative way. So hold tight. Let me see if I can find it. All right, so let's look at some of the word association with post-traumatic slavery disorder, and then we're gonna look at a clip or a show. So hold tight. So let me find this real quick. Hold on, guys. Please bear with me. But guys, in the meantime, that robot keep bugging me to death, guy. The robot say he's hungry. That robot say he ain't ate nothing all day. And just like that plant of the Little Shop of Horror, the robot said, feed me, guys. No doubt, no doubt. So let me show you guys something real quick. Get those likes up. Thank you guys for doing an awesome job on the night. I appreciate to all the brothers and sisters that are watching and listening on tonight. I really appreciate it. But I'm going to show you guys something about post-traumatic slavery disorder. And then we're going to have a collaboration, but also we're going to talk about some thinking errors or common thinking errors. So understanding post-traumatic slave syndrome. The recent civil unrest in response to the racial injustice in the United States highlights the entrenched trauma that African Americans have experienced and carry on across generations. So I'm going to say it again. Whatever trauma you've been through, conscious or unconscious, you don't have to let that make you become a victim of that trauma. You do have to identify and change the behavior, but you don't have to let those behaviors make you a slave and remain the victim. I don't believe in being the victim. You should supersede the trauma of the victimhood that you went through. Once again, some will say, well, that ain't have nothing to do with me in this generation, but you don't understand what's called the residual effects of post-traumatic slave disorder or post-traumatic trauma, because it does not always impact the body, it can impact the mind. And when you take on thinking errors or negative thinking errors based on your predecessors, those are some of the residual effects of post-traumatic slave syndrome. We are especially reminded of the trauma during the month of June, which marks the anniversary of Juneteenth and the massacre of Black Wall Street. Here in the Tar Heel State, the greatest state in the Union, Durham, North Carolina was known and more or less notified as being one of the pillars of Black Wall Street. North Carolina Central, one of the, it once was called the Harvard of the South. That's my alma mater. And also in Wilmington, they had men similar to in Tulsa as they were having economic power and success. But see, the thing that those people had back then coming out of Reconstruction was family, faith, and the women were cooperative. The women were not indoctrinated by liberalism. That's why some will argue that blacks were better off being separated than being integrated, because we had an identity of liberation, an identity of community and building. But see, some of us wanted so long to be loved and accepted by our predecessors. We aborted our mission for the sake of integration. And look at what it's gotten us now, to the point that so many of our women are so brainwashed through the liberal indoctrination, they can't see the forest, sadly, from the trees. So the enduring impact, how do these events connect to the Americans' physical and mental health? Right. So to add to post-traumatic slave syndrome, a term coined by international renowned researcher Joy DeGruy, PhD, described the multi-generational trauma and injustice experienced by African Americans from the dawn of slavery to the recent death of citizens at the hands of the police. Now, I'm going to say this. I'm going to be careful how I say this. I don't believe in Black Lives Matter. It's a liberal Marxist organization. I don't believe in that. I don't believe, once again, in victimhood. I don't believe in that as well. But I do believe in education and understanding how those pathologies impact you in a negative way. Sometimes people will use those as talking points to continue to be in victimhood. You have to understand it, but you don't have to be a victim forever. PTSS has similarities to more widely known diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder. Here are some of the outpoints. They avoid certain places, people, or activities and events that remind the individual of the trauma or experience. I want you guys to think about many times where you were in academia, when you were seen as being a nobody or a loser, or not intelligent enough to compete with your peers. And sometimes when you go back in time, when you were a kid in school, your mind go back and wonder because your mind was captive or captivated by the trauma and the stresses of the past. That's why you got to use a condition, once again, called corrective, meaning you got to go back and correct. Recapitulation. Recapitulation basically means you were captured mentally by that trauma. But you got to go back in the past and restore yourself so that you can become the better version of yourself. That's why therapy is so important. You have to go back in the past and recover what you lost from that past. Difficulty concentrating, feeling jumpy or being easily angered. Appearing emotionally numb, also called vacant esteem. This includes feelings of hopelessness. I told you guys before in the past that a hopeless man is a broken man. A broken man is a very dangerous man. Some of these men are broken based on the pain that they've been through. That's why they project their displaced aggressions onto you, masculine thinking men. An aspect of PTSS is racial socialization and internalized racism, which includes direct and indirect messages children receive about racism and the meaning of race. Once again, that's internalization. Internalized racism more or less identifies with the captor, the Stockholm Syndrome. That's why, as I said before, you should never use that NIGGA word, because you are assuaging the thought processes of the oppressor. You should never use that word, even if you use it, quote unquote, for what you call it, it's a term of endearment. It's not. Because see, words are very powerful. They're containers. You are actually, when you begin to speak words, you're shaping your reality. You don't want to shape your reality through negative words or negative associations. You want to shape your reality through positive words and positive associations. That's how you want to shape your reality. And that's why Kevin Samuels was an advocate for therapy. He went through therapy. I got a new series called Conscious Impressions. I didn't want to say clinical impressions, but I do believe in conscious impressions, because conscious impressions are all what you perceive to see based on the behaviors that's being exhibited. That's a conscious impression. Hold tight. Unfortunately, when it comes to seeking medical or mental health assistance, African Americans are often suspicious of the care they will receive and therefore may go to the doctor at least as a last resort. Right, because the historical treatment like Tuskegee. That's why I keep telling you guys what you have in me is very rare. And I'm not saying that to be arrogant, but it's true. You don't have, or more or less find, too many male therapists in this space. There are some, but there are few. Black male therapists are very rare. In many spaces, we're considered unicorns. But black, masculine, traditional therapists that believe in traditional families is even rarer. So you have a jewel in me. Because you're not going to find too many therapists that are not woke. Many therapists are woke. They don't care about masculinity. They don't care about you. They see you as the element of the oppression of women, because many therapists are trained through what's called the feminist theory lens, which more or less posits that men have been oppressors to women, which in essence doesn't more or less apply to black men, because black men never had power at the macro level. The macro level is where policy is more or less implicated. And so historically, African Americans were mistreated at the hands of medical professions, including being used as test subjects. Treatments have been based upon the beliefs that black people are strong and do not need health care, or that black people have higher rates of schizophrenia than white people or other ethnic groups. And see, many times, you hear black folks saying, well, the Lord will fix it. And listen, God can fix it. Faith is powerful. Faith is part of mental wellness. But faith plus understanding your body, because you are an integrated being. Your body is just not spiritual. Your body is body, soul, and spirit. It's psychosomatic. Psycho, which is mind, soma, which is the body. I want you to say it after me. Psychosoma, mind and body, they're all integrated. So when one is uncalibrated, then the other one can be off. That's why they both got to be on an even keel or healthy. Because if the mind is off, it can throw the bodies off. If the body is off, it can throw the mind off. I played basketball. I'm about 6'6". The Ingram experience is 6'7", 6'8". Had a chance to play college basketball. Many times when we had to do wind sprints, or when we were, playing basketball, your body said, man, I'm tired of playing. But your mind said, I got to hit that last jumper for the team, even though your body was exhausted. Your mind is so powerful that it can push you to greater heights or it can sink you to lower depths. But that's why you have to train your mind to be disciplined. And you cannot be worried about these goofy simps on the internet trying to laugh and shame folks through ageism and other goofy mental gesticulations, because they are broken, wounded men that were raised by their mamas. And like I said, these Hotep simps are the worst ones. However, if you feel the symptoms of PTSS, it may be important that you break the cycle of our history and seek support. You deserve mental health professionals who care. And so that's just a quick snapshot of PTSS. Now I'm going to give you guys a video analysis of PTSS. Once again, this woman, Dr. DeGry, I believe her name is, and we're going to talk about it. So hold tight. You guys are doing an awesome job. Hold tight. And I'm going to show you guys more of what I'm talking about. Shout out to, let me read you some of these comments. You guys are doing an awesome job tonight. And hold tight. All right, so shout out to my man D. May. He said, shout out to the brother. In these modern times, America will have a fully competent black man thinking he's crazy. Yes, they will. But there's nothing wrong with you. There is something wrong with you. That's why you have to be around like-minded men that think just like you, because they will have you thinking that you are crazy. Can the people say that we should get paid $3,500 a day? I got my cash up. Let's get paid for this grift that begins. Okay, I don't know what that means. Shout out to Crypto Gang. Shout out to that brother. He's a Crypto Gang podcast. No doubt. That's a deal.
That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Thank you, brother.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Pirates are trying to shame you. He said that there are fears that we are reawake. We see this place as a prison pretending to be a republic, and we are going where we're treated the best. Get your passports, invest in crypto, and leave the prison alone. Crypto gang, no doubt. Passport gang, no doubt. Men are turning it up because it's time for men not to worry about men that are trying to make them become victims once again, guys, of the Stockholm Syndrome.
Give me a line, give me a line. Get in line now. Straight up.
And many of these guys, when you begin to leave and travel abroad, have a passport psychosis. And we're going to talk about a psychosis in a minute after we talk about post-traumatic slavery disorder. But I want you guys to understand that while I am an advocate of world travel, don't let women be your only reasons for travel. Travel for the sake of enjoying your life and seeing the world for what it is. A woman should not be your only reason for traveling. If you're, especially, if you're a single man. But if you're traveling for a wife and you're trying to explore the country, then so be it. But women should not be your only resolve for traveling. You should live your life outside of women. But understand that women are important and special because a good woman will help you become the best version of yourself as a man. So Gail Nelson said that the dating coaches are jealous of men traveling to find peace. It's the same when you get a good man and your single friends try to sabotage. They are acting like women. You're right, dear. They're definitely acting like women. I agree with you 1,000%. It's time for men to start loving themselves and taking things to the next level. Shout out to the Narc Perspective. He said, at this point, I'd rather pay up front. Shout out to the Narc Perspective. He said, I'd rather pay up front and wait for my passport to finish process. I work full-time and run a business. It shouldn't be this difficult to find a cooperative woman. Right. And see, guys, you have more power than you realize. You have more power.
It's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
But watch this. I want to show you guys something about what a psychosis is. Let's look at what a psychosis is real quick. And some of these passport pirates are having a psychosis. So let's look at what a psychosis is, guys, as a definition. Hold tight. So I'm going to show you guys something real quick, and then we're going to get deeper into this video. This is what a psychosis is, guys. A psychosis. This is what a psychosis is. It is a severe mental disorder in which thoughts and emotions are so impaired that the contact is lost with the external reality. I'm going to say it again. It's a severe mental condition in which thought and emotions are so impaired that the contact is lost with external reality. Now, many times, guys, it's a such thing called an organic psychosis. Many times when there are abnormalities in the body, it is an organic psychosis. Many people that are schizophrenia have a psychosis. But I use the word passport pirate psychosis because many times they are very neurotic, meaning they are obsessed with what you're trying to do. And I use the word psychosis as a way to exaggerate my position because they become psychotic to the point that they want to hurt you. There's a guy on YouTube that looks just like that guy, like Uncle Ruckus, He goes around accosting black men, look just like him, placating to gynocratic thoughts and try to shame men for living their lives on their own terms. I never understood it. But many times they are passport pirates. They have what's called a passport psychosis, which starts off as a neurosis, but then it goes to a psychosis. A neurosis is obsessive and very compulsive, very obsessed. They're very neurotic. They're nervous, they're anxious. They get anxious. They start getting scared and salivating, start going crazy. And because they begin to ruminate off and on, then it turns to a psychosis. But they are passport pirates. And they'll try to steal your joy. They'll try to steal your victory. They'll try to steal your freedom. They'll try to steal your hope. And they'll try to shame you because they were raised by their mama. And they don't know any better. Some of them do know better. Some of them are conscious simps. But many of them don't know any better because they have been victims of their own ignorance. Now, this is fair use. I want to show you guys something real quick. Show you guys this file real quick. And this is talking about post-traumatic slavery disorder. Let's look at it.
Traumatic slave syndrome.
Once again, guys, fair use. I hope they don't get me with this one, but fair use, guys. This is for educational purposes only. Hopefully to YouTube or the robot, this is fair use. For enforcement agents to take note, this is fair use. This is for fair use. I'm not using this information as my own, but it's for educational purposes only. So guys, listen and learn, take notes, and we're gonna break down what Dr. DeGraw is talking about.
Is an explanatory theory that really looks at multi-generational trauma.
So once again, guys, this is what I talked about earlier from Dr. Joy DeGraw. It talks about intergenerational trauma, something we all have dealt with. Some of it is conscious and some of it is unconscious. Keep listening.
One of the things that's difficult.
And Dr. DeGraw is a LCSW just like me, but she's also a researcher. Hold tight.
For people is their first response is, oh my God, that happened so long ago. We're talking about people being captured, shipped, sold, beaten, raped, experimented on. And then you have to ask the question, did the trauma continue? Yes. So 300 years of trauma, no help, freed, no help, more trauma.
So once again, guys, that's the residual effects of trauma. That is the residual effects of trauma, meaning even though it may have not been physical, there were negative learning outcomes that people more or less implicated upon themselves, and they transferred that implication from generation to generation. Keep listening.
Trauma. If it's a sustained trauma, then the impact of that is also sustained. When we look at multi-generational trauma, we're looking at people who are maybe victims of natural disasters and their families and their children and generations of folks who have experienced war. And we know that there are residual mental, emotional, traumatic impact. And what I did was I started to look at the African American experience, starting with slavery, as a real clear long enduring trauma. So I started to see that there were clear.
Once again, guys, you don't have to be a victim of trauma. You don't have to be a victim of your past or your pain, but you do need to understand it so that you cannot continue to give that trauma to the current or the upcoming generation. Understand the trauma, but don't let the trauma control you in a negative way. Keep listening.
Connections between that survival behavior and contemporary living in African American experience. I started to see common behaviors that I took for granted as, well, cultural. There's adaptive behaviors, survival behaviors. Well, what are they? Let's just say 2019, you have a black mother and a white mother. The sons go to school together. They find themselves at a meeting. The black mother leans over to the white mother and says, I just wanted to mention to you that I noticed that your son is really doing quite well. And the white mother's response is, oh, thank you. She begins to go on and on about he won the science fair, his uncle's an astronaut. She's just oozing. She realizes the black mother's son is actually excelling her son. And she says, well, wait a minute. Your son's the one that's really coming along. And the black mother responds, oh my God, he's a handful, but oh, he just works my nerves. Now, when I'm working with African American people, it doesn't matter what the audience is. It doesn't matter what class. If I were to ask, is she very proud while she's saying those denigrating things? And everybody laughs and goes, of course, there's a secret. Because everybody black knows that even though the black mother is going, oh my God, she's really proud. So now let's roll that scene back 300 years. And let's say this black mother is working in the fields and a white slave owner comes through and says, wow, that boy is really coming along. What is she going to say? No, he's not.
Right. So basically what they've learned to do is to internalize the pathologies of the oppressor. Many of these boys tend to internalize the vicarious trauma of their mothers. Once again, introjection. They take in the pain of their mothers. Introjection is often seen in women and children. Introjection turns to internalization. Internalization turns to identification. And identification turns to projection when it's not met in a healthy way. And that's through systemic issues that more or less impacted people over a span of time.
He's stupid, he's shiftless, he can't work, because I don't want you to sell him. So I denigrate them to protect them. That is called appropriate adaptation when living in a hostile environment. The little white boy, say Timmy, he feels really comfortable. And
some of you mothers have more or less used adaptive identification to some degree to make you feel bad about yourselves because they don't want you to be happy. Some of you guys want to get your passports. But some of you got mothers or family members that are women that say, well, you don't need to do X, Y, Z. And because you over-identify with your mom and you don't have standards, then what you tend to do is placate to what she's saying, and you become a slave of her own pathology. And you can't do that because, once again, as I said earlier, guys, in relationships, you have to benefit and they have to benefit, but they cannot benefit over you as a person. You both have to benefit in a relationship, similar to what Teddy Pendergrass said. He said it's good to love somebody and somebody to love you back. But once again, you cannot allow that to happen to you, once again, guys, as a man. Hold tight.
Happy about what his mom just said about him. And Trey looks at his mom and wonders, why can't you be proud of me? Because he doesn't understand the secret yet. And by the time he learns the secret, he will have already been injured by it. Post-traumatic slave syndrome. PTSD is a disorder that occurs as a result of a single trauma. You don't even have to be there to actually get a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder. You could just hear about something horrific happening to someone you love. So you have people who have experienced it firsthand, people who have witnessed it in their environment, right? People who are continuing to be oppressed. That exacerbates any possibility of healing. So it's not post-traumatic stress disorder, because then it becomes part of what we call your socialization process. So you begin to normalize a way of living and being, everything from what we eat to what we believe it means to be a friend. You know, all of these things are colored by history. And if you don't understand it, you're going to fold in things that you've just assumed are normal. But post-traumatic stress disorder, you know, exaggerated startle response, outbursts of anger, feeling of foreshortened future. There was a point where there were, African-American children in different urban settings that didn't expect to live to be adults because they saw so much death, that they started planning their funerals like at 13, 12, as young as 10. When you start looking at the simple biology, you start looking at the impact of stress on health.
Now, once again, guys, there's a concept called neuroplasticity. Trauma can more or less reduce the neuron or neurotic pathways through by which the brain can grow. That's why children need to be in environments where they can be protected. Children where they have healthy fathers, healthy mothers, healthy environments are at greater risk of having what's called full and healthy brain development. But see, the neural pathways cannot grow and be as optimized as it needs to be if that person is in trauma. That's why when you look at what black people went through as it relates to slavery, Jim Crow racism, and they still were able to overcome all the ravages of that with the trauma and all implicated, some would say it's supernatural that we are alive today, because the things that we went through, most people would have died off a long time ago. That's why I told you, men, that there's a king inside of you. And don't you let the ravages of what you've been through or what some of these gynocrats have been through make you suffer and not enjoy your life in its fullness. Tomorrow's not promised to no man. Kevin Samuels saw that. My cousin saw that. My sister saw that. I don't know how much longer I got on this earth. But you do need to love and to challenge and more or less enjoy the time that God has given you as human beings on this planet. This planet is huge. And there are women from other countries that have been conditioned to train to love and honor you as men. No longer should you more or less give your power away to women that don't honor and respect you. There are plenty of good women that are crying out and trying to warn women to get it together. But they won't even listen to those women. They call them mammies. They call them pick-me's. So you don't argue with them, guys. You just keep moving. You keep moving on. You laugh at them. You laugh at the goofballs that call you old and all that stuff, because they have no other defense, because they're broken people themselves, because they are ignorant. And many of them are unconscious simps.
And while we look at general stress, we know finances, you have illnesses, all these different things. How about being black? How does factoring in being black in America impact your stress level and therefore your body's ability to operate?
And guys, many of us has been through it as men. You've been through it with systemic racism to some degree. You've been through it with bad relationship, women that have more or less been agents of the system, that they have more or less turned you over to the man because they wanted power in the relationship. There's a such thing called cortisol. Cortisol is negative hormones. It can destroy your body. That's why people that work in law enforcement, like correction officers or even cops, by the time they retire, they die off because their body is always in that fight or flight response mode. I worked as a CO for 2 years as a mental health correction officer, and I did 7 years with the Department of Juvenile Justice. And I had to get out of it because it was very stressful, to the point that if I didn't be careful, I broke out with shingles. Who's to say I wouldn't have been dead by now? It would kill your stress. Some of you men right now think you got erectile dysfunction. You don't have it. Your erectile dysfunction is a byproduct of the stress that you've been dealing with. That's why you got to get out of these toxic relationships where the women don't honor and respect you. to you single men that don't have wives, once you get around a woman that's feminine and kind, not only will your testosterone levels go up and your cortisol levels decrease, but your euphoria and the feel-good hormone called endorphins will increase, which in essence will give your body a better response. That's why you have to be around feminine, kind, cooperative women, because a quarrelsome and contentious woman will make your time on this earth limited. That's why men tend to die off earlier than women. Men tend to die earlier because they're stressed out. And you can't allow a woman to stress you out. It's not a woman on this planet it's worth your dignity as a man. If she does not honor you and respect you as a man, start planning on getting rid of her. Just get rid of her. Don't feel bad. Don't feel sad. Just get rid of her and go where you're celebrated instead of tolerated. Keep listening.
Its own immune system, because we know it compromises the immune system. Once you understand it, then you can deal with it, because you see it's habitual. You socialize. It becomes part of your being. So one of the ways you begin to address that multi-generational trauma is to work with the people it directly impacts, to hear from them. And when you give the people the information, they can use it. I think the first order of business is beginning to have a conversation. And the other is to educate the larger society. You have to stop the assault. So this is not purely a clinical thing. This requires social justice and change. That's where part of the healing is. It's not in a...
Now, even though theoretically I like what Mr. Gras is saying, once again, I don't agree with the tenets of Black Lives Matter, because it's not an organization that adheres to traditional orthodoxy, traditional families, or black men. Black Lives Matters actually use black men as stepping stools to get their agenda accomplished. So that organization is an ultra-Marxist liberal organization. It's not tied to heteronormative masculinity. So therefore, I don't necessarily associate myself with BLM. A lot of people thought it was an organization for the empowerment, but it's an organization that you don't need to be part of, because when you read the mission statement they took down, they're very liberal. They're more pro-alphabet. They're not pro-heteronormative masculinity. And so theoretically, what Dr. Guy is talking about is true, but if she's talking about that's the social justice part, I don't agree with that, because it does not adhere to empowering men.
Clinical setting or in a pill. It's in fairness and justice and safety and equity. We got to work with some of those clinical things, some of those issues of panic and anxiety. And we also have to deal with the fact that you have a system that is set up to oppress you and to continue to injure you. Both those things have to be dealt with. And they cannot singularly by themselves affect a change. They have to be done collectively.
All right, guys. So that's giving you guys a contextual framework of, hold tight, guys. Hold tight. Let me see. So once again, guys, that's giving you a contextual framework of the struggles that men have been through. And once again, I see the Peso. Peso, man, if you want to come in and chop it up, brother, feel free to. But you seem like you've been one of the accusers of the brethren in these relationships. But I'm going to keep telling the truth as a licensed clinician. And I'm going to keep educating men on living their lives and loving their lives and living their lives at their own terms, free of ridicule. Now, guys, I want to show you guys something. Because once again, guys, simp surfers often come to cause chaos because they are broken men. They're broken men. They don't understand the struggle of standing firm in their masculinity as men. They don't have any talking points. They only have shaming points because internally they are broken men. And once again, they use shaming language. They use false narratives. They use lies. They use all kinds of mental gesticulations to get their points across. And it is what it is. That's why you guys got to stand firm in your masculinity and don't worry about these people that are dealing with a condition called, once again, and a lot of these men have it too, guys, it's called ego syntonia. Yeah. Every time men begin to get on the mantle of progress and the mantle of being men, then once again, simp surfers and simp enforcers come to more or less derail the movement of masculinity. But once again, guys, you don't have to be victims of that. You got to be like Bruce Lee said, you have to be just like water, because passport pirates don't want you to be liberated. They always use the old tired talking narrative, but that you know you out there tricking and all this goofy mess. But the main ones that are telling you that you're tricking, they're doing the exact same thing that they're accusing you of doing. See, that's classic projection because some of these men have thinking errors. They're mentally challenged. And it's called projection. It's classic projection. So they won't have a cogent debate do, sound reasoning because they're broken men, but they'll go across the internet simp surfing, causing chaos, being the accuser of the brethren because they want men to think like they think. These same goofballs don't call out the same black women that were out, going out with these Jamaicans, the black women that were going to Jamaica in the grill, getting with the natives in Jamaica. I would challenge them to come up and have a conversation. The women that were going to the grill, Jamaica, sleeping with, Jamaicans, they don't say nothing to the white man when he was in Asia, Africa, and all parts of the world, spreading his seed and dealing with women of other countries. They don't say anything to white women that were dealing with natives or whatever. But it's always the black man because, once again, some of these men are broken men. They're simp surfers. They're broken through what they went through with their fathers. They hate men. They have unconscious pathologies they have not addressed as men. So they project their anger and their pain out of ignorance, But once again, they'll bump their gums, they'll talk junk. But like I said, you don't argue with fools. You continue to live your life as a man. You don't have to worry about what other men say. You just stand firm and stand strong and tell them you can bump your gums as long as you don't touch me. Because once again, I'm a therapist first, but if you get in my face, you're going to get your jaw slacked. I worked in law enforcement before I became a therapist. I worked as a teacher. I did it all. I'm a real therapist. I'm not a fake like some of these other quacks. I'm the real deal. But at the end of the day, I'm a man first. So once again, guys, stand strong in your masculinity. Stand strong in your conviction as men. Don't be a saboteur of your own ignorance. Live your life on your own terms. I'm going to show you guys also something else real quick. Hold tight. Hold tight, guys. Hold tight. I'm going to show you guys something else. Hold tight, guys. I'm going to show you guys something else. Hold tight. I'm going to show you guys something. So this is another concept, guys, that we're talking about, and this is called thinking disorders, or more or less ego defense mechanisms. So let's talk about it. So once again, ego defense mechanisms. What are defense mechanisms? An ego defense mechanism is a way to protect yourself from unpleasant experiences. And how does an ego defense mechanism work? Well, it's simple. It's part of psychoanalytic theory. It goes back to what I was saying with Dr. William Glasser. Defense mechanisms are ways to react to situations that bring up negative emotions. According to psychoanalytic theory, when you experience a stressor, the subconscious will first monitor that situation to see if it might harm you. Once again, some of these people, guys, that are accusing you men of all kinds of issues are actually broken men themselves. They are broken men. And some of it is unconscious pathologies. Many researchers, guys, once again, place defense mechanism on the continuum with more natural, mature defenses, improving cognitive processes, and less mature ones causing harm. Hold on a minute. Other defense mechanisms, however, are not as mature and helpful. Prolonged use of these defenses can lead to lingering problems. In fact, they may prevent you from ever facing emotional issues or anxiety because they block you from seeing the root cause. Some signs that defense mechanisms are getting in the way of your everyday life are mental health and include feeling sad or depressed, having difficulty getting out of bed, avoiding unusual daily activities, things such as people that once made you happy, having difficulty forming or maintaining healthy relationships, and thus far. Now, one of the top ego defense mechanisms, guys, that many folks are dealing with is called denial. Many are in denial about the struggles and the injustices of black men in America. Once again, they use an ego defense called overgeneralization. They will take a negative input or a negative impulse, and they tend to overgeneralize and castigate all black men in those same negative associations. Denial is one of the most common defense mechanisms. It occurs when you refuse to accept reality of facts. Once again, guys, I told you that they are deaf. They deny the evidence when you present them with the evidence. They become enraged when you present them with the evidence. They argue through ad hominem attacks where they don't have any response, So they argue they ad hominem attacks where they attack the messenger, not the message itself. And they fight you or they flee. They're deaf because they cannot hear what you're saying because of cognitive dissonance. And they project their pain onto others. I talked about it earlier, guys. They have repression. That's an unhealthy ego defense mechanism. Unsavory thoughts, painful memories, or irrational beliefs can upset you. Instead of facing those thoughts, people may unconsciously choose to hide them in hopes of forgetting them entirely. People that repress their thoughts or repress their pain don't know how to deal with it. So they repress their thoughts and they also repress their pain. They repress their thoughts and they repress their pain. I talked about this earlier, guys. It's called displaced aggression. You direct strong emotional frustration towards a person or object that they don't feel like threatening. This allows you to satisfy an impulse or to react, but you don't risk significant consequences. A good example of this defense mechanism is getting angry at your child or spouse because you had a bad day. Neither of these people is the target of your strong emotion, but your subconscious may believe reacting to them is less problematic than reacting to the problem. Some of these dudes are dealing with displaced aggression. Once again, some of them are victims of abandonment. So they displace their aggression towards men that look like the fathers that abandoned their mothers. Unconscious pathologies, supplementing irrational male patterns of thinking. It's irrational to worry about what men are doing with their bodies or their money. That's irrational. Men don't do that. But these are the same hypocrites that won't say nothing about the black women that went to Negril, Jamaica. They don't make bulletin points talking about them. They don't talk about white women going to Jamaica and Kenya and Africa messing with those young bucks. They don't talk about white men that have been traveling for years doing what they want to do. But as soon as black men do, y'all tricking, y'all sex trafficking, all that goofy stuff, because, they're broken men. They have a visceral hatred towards men that look just like them. And so when you try to move forward, guys, and live your life on your own terms, this is what these men do, guys. They come just like the men like the people on the slave plantation years ago, because once again, they are victims of Stockholm syndrome.
Owner, you miss me? Huh? Oh, yes, sir. I miss you like a hog miss fly, like a baby. Miss Mammy Titty. I miss you like I miss the rock in my shoe.
Yeah, they tend to identify with the gynoprotestal order, which are gynocrats. And many times, they get mad at men that are traveling because they're worried about what men are doing with their phalluses. And once again, I don't think men should more or less go and trick per se, but some of the same men that are telling you that they're accusing other men of tricking, they're tricking themselves in other countries. I've known preachers that used to always talk about homosexuals and what they were doing, but they were doing the same thing that they were accusing the homosexuals are doing, because it's classic projection. It's an unhealthy or unconscious ego defense mechanism. And that's why they get mad at other men living their lives on their own terms, because they are broken, defeated men. And this is what they do when guys begin to travel. Because once again, guys, I believe in the tenets of Dr. Wim Glass, men having power, fun, freedom, belonging, and survival. But this is what they do.
Give me a line, give me a line. Get in line now. Straighten up.
Yeah, they have a passport psychosis. They become neurotic first, and then they become very psychotic. Because see, what they start to try to do next, they'll say, they'll threaten harm or, start telling folks to hurt you because they're going through a psychosis. And I am exaggerating it, but they are neurotic, and that neurosis turned to a psychosis. So I'm not going to go through all the ego defense mechanisms. That's not necessary. But what I do want to do, guys, we're going to have a conversation. We're going to talk about these passport pirates and the shaming language that many are having. And so, guys, we're going to drop the link. If I do not know you, you need to cam up. If you come on my show acting stupid, you will be eradicated. So if I don't know you, you must cam up. I got to see your face. And guys, let's have a conversation. To the men that have struggled with passport pirates trying to shame them, then let's talk about it. Also, brothers that have more or less traveled abroad and dealt with men trying to shame them, let's have that conversation too. So guys, we're gonna drop the link. Top Gun, Tim Howard, all my gunners. Make sure you guys be on lock. I'm gonna be on lock too. If I do not know you, then you, you might be right, Big Smooth. If I do not know you, then you need to cam up. So I'm gonna drop the link, guys, real quick. And let's have a conversation. So here's the call-in line. Call in, guys, let's have a conversation. And let's make it do what it do. So once again, guys, the line in the chat has been dropped. But in the meantime, guys, if you're dealing with conscious pathologies or unconscious pathologies, come see me at coachclinician at gmail.com. So once again, guys, I'm going to run the gamut real quick because some people are dealing with mental health issues and they need to be addressed.
Are you a victim of brokenness and despair? A broken man is a hopeless man, and a hopeless man is a very dangerous man. Many times, many of you young men that are listening come from homes that are very toxic and very dysfunctional. And because of that, many of you have deferred your power in many ways to the point it's led over into your social life and many times led over into your relationships. If you guys are dealing with mental health pathologies, conscious and unconscious, come see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com. It's important that you deal with your mental health in order to be a better person for yourself, your loved ones, and also your community. But because mental health is often stigmatized, many of you often suffer in silence. Don't be a victim in silence. And see me once again at kosherclinician@gmail.com. And I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And male mental health is one of those elements that's paramount to the functioning of a man. Be well.
Has been dropped. Brothers, just come up and talk. Because there's a lot of simp servants killing the game, man. They don't know any better because some of them are dealing with unconscious pathologies and many of them also have cognitive. All right, guys, the link has been dropped. Let's have a conversation. If I do not know you, you must cam up, come correct, or you will be expedited judiciously. So, guys, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about the passport pirate phenomena that we're seeing. But in the meantime, I want you guys to talk about a book by Sean James. Sean James is a good friend of mine. He's a YouTuber. It's called The Man Crisis. And I'm going to read some excerpts. And I'm going to look at chapter 2, and it's talking about the origin of the man crisis. So in the meantime, I'm going to read through this book until someone comes up. But the origins of the American man crisis. How did men wind up in a crisis today? Easy. America changed the way that American boys were raised to become men. In the 1960s and 1970s, feminists wanted to create a gender, a kind of gender softer man, a man who believed that they would be more sensitive, caring, and understanding. A man who they thought would be more in touch with their feelings, a man who they thought would be a better man than his father. And to make their sons better men than their fathers, many feminists believe that a boy did not need to have their father in their life. That's why you see so many men that have a strong aversion towards masculinity. They're dealing with unconscious pathology because they tend to over-identify with the person in their lives, which is the mother. It's part of what's called the gynoprotestal order. They tend to over-identify with them because they saw their fathers abandon them. They never knew their fathers. And I'm not here to castigate women. I'm not here to do that. There are some noble sisters that are listening to what I'm saying tonight. But vicarious trauma has become so normal and dysfunction has become so normal that many of these men are broken men. They don't understand that they are broken men. And that's why we have these conversations. And to make their sons better, many feminists believe that men taught boys violence and destructive behaviors and the women would raise a boy to become a better man on their own. And their grand vision, the softer, kinder, gentler, more understanding men, they raised would be build America into a modern utopia. As more American women started listening to the rhetoric of feminist liberal politicians, began changing laws and government policies in the hopes of getting to that utopia. These policies expanded the welfare state to more women could receive the resources to improve quality of life for themselves and their children through government programs like welfare, Section 8, food stamps, WIC, education grants, student loans, housing grants, and home mortgage programs. So basically, we began to condition our women to say that they didn't need their men. And as a byproduct, the boys didn't get the tutelage of their fathers to more or less demand power in relationships and in business, but they began to think on a more or less deficit mindset because they were living through the vicarious trauma of their mothers. That's why, once again, when Raekwon the Man get mad at you, they won't have a conversation. They want to fight because they don't think like men, they think like women. And because they get angry, guys, when you try to have a cogent conversation, because you got to keep that heater with you, this is what they'll say. They'll say, it's on my mom.
Yeah, put chain on them. Balls on my mom. They be broken balls. Kill some of my mom. Bro, they back me look like gang. That's on my mom. Gang. That's on my mom. Gang. That's on my mom.
Yeah, they'll say on their mama because they never saw their daddy. You never hear people say, oh, my daddy. Because daddy was seen as the agent of their pain. They listened to the lies many times of their mothers. They listened to the women that more or less got with Raekwon the Man, or sometimes the corporate thug or the white collar professional, because it's not always Raekwon the Man. But see, they chose that man over a man that could have been a better husband. The man that could have been a better husband, they saw him as being boring. And see, men, we're guilty of it too, because men sometimes will get a woman with a big butt and a smile and, over a woman, a substance, the quiet woman, the woman in the library, the meek woman. She's seen as boring as well. But see, men and women must suffer the recompense of their ignorance when they don't make good choices and or make good decisions. And that's why we got to have these conversations, guys. And so before feminism, the only reason a marriage could be ended in America was if the partner was at fault, such as adultery. But however, with no-fault divorce laws, women could divorce a spouse even if he was a responsible man. That's what's happening now, who was providing for his family. But see, people tell you, just get married, but you don't look at all the implications, how it impact men in a negative way. And after that divorce, she initially broke that family. The courts gave the woman alimony, child support to maintain the lifestyle she and her children were accustomed to. But see, they don't think about the impact of that on a man. Imagine if a man still wanted to stay with his wife and his children, but she said, I'm not happy anymore due to no-fault divorce. And then that man began to go through the mental ruminations of brokenness, because once again, we don't care about or talk about the pains and the struggles of men. And so as affirmative action policies were being crafted to help black men correct past racial discriminations, politicians and corporations began manipulating those government policies to give white men, white women, black women, and the women of color the opportunities of full-time employment black men were supposed to have. Politicians and business owners believed that women would be better workers than men because they were more submissive and willing to do business in their own terms. That goes back to what I said once before in the past. Anything within the lens of heteronormative masculinity is seen as an affront. That's why when men stand firm in masculinity and speak with clarity, power, and conviction, many can't hear it because they've never seen men in the home. See, negative socialization not only impact boys, but it also impact girls. Dr. Johnson Kunjufu talked about that as it relates to the educational perspective. I worked in law enforcement first, worked in prison, worked as a mental health correction officer, and also worked with juvenile delinquents. But I also worked as a teacher. And then as a licensed therapist, I've seen it and done it all. So I understand things through the criminological perspective, the sociological perspective, the psychological perspective, and also the educational perspective. I can see all variants and all dimensions because I've done it. But see, unconscious simps don't know that they are simps. They don't know any better. That's why I created the term. Not the word simp, but the word unconscious simp. They don't know that they are simps. Harriet Tubman said I could have freed a lot more if they didn't know they were already slaves. And this is what these simp surfers do many times on the internet. What the simp surfers do, guys, they'll go across the internet causing chaos because many of them will say this.
Why are you destroying our planet?
I have no choice.
Yeah, simp servers don't think they have no choice but to go and accost and accuse other men of doing the same thing that they're doing. They're no different than the classic preacher that once again was, dealing with men on the down low, like the Ted Haggards of the world and other men. They were preaching or telling men not to fornicate, but they were fornicating on the low. They tell you not to trick, but they're tricking on the low. It's classic projection, and a lot of that, once again, is due to whatever pain that they've been through or whatever issues that they've been through. And many of these simp service guys will also do this because just like the Silver Surfer would do, he would go across the traverses of the galaxy to absorb what was going on in the galaxy. And some of these men go across the traverses of men's spaces to cause confusion, and they also are what's called the accuser of the brethren. They accuse men because they have some pathologies or deficits in themselves, or some just do it for content creation. They do it for content creation or content beef. I've heard guys talk about brothers that I know, homeboys that I know personally. They don't have no evidence, but they'll make up stuff because they're magical Negroes. They don't know any better. They're mentally disturbed. And so this is what they'll do, these simp surfers.
These men are coming together. They must be stopped. Who hurt these petty fools? Their mama is black. Who hurt them? They must be gay. I must go cause confusion.
Yeah, these simp servers go across the spaces of men causing confusion because they're rival. They have what's called a passport psychosis. And as Bishop Charles E. Williams said, y'all ain't gonna talk to me. Now I'm gonna keep reading what Sean James said, guys. I want you guys to come on in a minute. We're gonna have a conversation. He said, thanks to these government programs and business policies, women gain more economic and political power in America. And with women making their own money, they begin changing the structure of the family. Yes, I'm strong and independent. I don't need a man. That's a byproduct of vicarious trauma, but also rebellion. Believing that the radical, the feminists, who thought they could play the role of both the mother and the father, which they cannot, to their children, older women begin using no-fault divorce laws to end their marriages, and younger women begin having children out of wedlock. As many alienate their husbands, marginalize their children's fathers, and raise their sons alone, many of these new single mothers thought they could raise their sons to become healthy men. And some thought they could raise their sons to be better than their fathers and grandfathers, which they can't. Men who would be greater successes than their fathers and grandfathers could ever be. Unfortunately, most of these boys who grew up in these single mother households didn't grow up to be the better men that the feminists thought they would be, nor did they build a utopia that they envisioned. Many wound up never achieving more success in their personal lives or their professional careers. A good majority never left their parents' home. Quite a few went on to have the same dysfunctional relationship with their mothers had, and these kinder, gentler men struggle with their feelings of rage regarding the insensitive way the world treats them. Yes, that's why men go through what's called a catharsis. It's the emoting of unpleasant feelings. They go through a catharsis. That's why many men go through rage. They go through the stages of grief. They go through denial, which is an ego defense mechanism. They go through denial. They go through anger. They go through bargaining. They go through depression. And then the last stage is acceptance. Quite a few went on to have the same dysfunctional relationship with the women their mothers had. And that's why these guys, they get with women that don't respect men. They end up simping because they're unconscious simps. They supplement irrational male patterns. They get with those women because they don't realize how much power that they have. They don't know any better. So they tend to over-identify with the feminine, and they tend to have a vitriol hatred for the masculine. That's why you see men coming up against other men, because they over-identify with women. But once again, they're doing the same thing that they're accusing you of doing. They're becoming far more violent and destructive than their fathers or grandfathers ever were. Today, 1 in 3 boys are growing up without their fathers in America. As a result, the number of boys born out of wedlock in single-parent households has increased, and the number of boys dealing with their parents' divorces has increased, a crisis that has started. A majority of those boys have centered around adolescence and adulthood. Instead of men growing up to become healthy, conscientious, responsible men, a good majority of these supposedly kind, legitimate, more submissive, sensitive men that feminists try to social engineer have grown up to be lost, confused, frustrated, anger-filled men with rage. And many times, guys, once again, and I saw when I worked in law enforcement, worked with kids, they become and say what Raekwon the Man say when you try to correct them. They'll say, on my
put chain on them balls on my mom. They be broken balls. Kill some of my mom. Bro, they back me look like gang. That's on my monkey. Gang. That's on my monkey. Gang. That's on my monkey.
And so instead of these boys learning male life skills, they learn female ones, right? They learn to think based on how women would think. They think based on feelings instead of thinking based on principles. When a woman disrespects a man, the mom would say, and she didn't mean anything by it, well, son, just buy her flowers and be nicer to her and don't say anything. But a man that's think based on principles say you got to check that bad behavior. And if she does not respect you as a man, you get rid of her, you fire her, or you challenge her bad behavior, and she keep doing it, you just get rid of her. But see, they tell you to think like how a woman would think. That's why men end up being simps. And the women don't want to be with them because women only respect power and strength. The internal hard drive or the intrinsic hard drive of a woman is to respect power and strength. And when things get hard for these boys, when they got older, they were told by female authority figures like their mother and teachers to just be a man and deal with it. Because they never saw the fathers like we did when I was growing up. They never saw men as principals. They didn't see their fathers in the home. So they tend to internalize their pathology. And what they do, they tend to end up drinking, getting children out of wedlock. Some can become abusive, and some over-identify once again with women. So once again, guys, the link has been dropped. If you guys want to have a conversation about these passport pirates that are trying to steal your joy, the joy that's consistent with psychoanalytic theorist Dr. William Glasser, which more or less posits these 5 theoretical elements that men must go through or have: power, fun, freedom, belonging, and survival. These are the elements that more or less predicate choice theory. Choice theory means you have the right to live your life on your own terms, unencumbered, the right to live your life without ridicule or shame, and not worry about some of these goofballs that traverse among the internet, creating false narratives and lying on men because they have thinking errors and they have schema afflictions. All right, hold tight. What's up, brother? How you doing? Dewan, how you doing, brother? What's up, brother?
Hey, good evening, doctor. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, dog. How you doing, sir? What's going on, brother?
I'm doing well. Just wanted to let you know you putting on a great show tonight.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir.
The presentations are on point.
No doubt.
Just want to get on here and have a short conversation with you.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
I'm a North Carolinian, or a fellow North Carolinian as well. So
Tar Heel Nation, stand up.
Well, you know, I'm a Duke fan, man.
I'm about to drop you down. I'm about to drop you down.
Hey, but you know what? It was a hell of a March Madness though that we had this past year. So
no doubt, man, no doubt. So what's your take on these passport pirates that are having a passport psychosis? I don't know if the person that came in earlier is a real peso man, but the peso man has a lot of vitriol towards men traveling. Peso man, if you want to come up and chop it up, as long as you're respectful, we'll have a cogent, respectful conversation, but I will challenge your query and also some of your thinking errors. But what are your take on these passport pirates? Why do passport pirates hate Black men? Because once again, Dewan, they don't say anything to the women that were going to Negril, Jamaica, getting their groove on. Stella got her groove back. Women have been going to Jamaica for years, sleeping with these young native boys. They didn't say anything to white women or any other ethnic group of women, but white men were traveling. But when it comes down to Black men, it's an issue. Why is that in your opinion?
I think you hit it on the head early in your presentation. It's just the way that they were raised and how they were raised to look at other Black men. And it's also a reflection of how they feel about themselves. A lot of them feel like they've been incapacitated. They don't really have the ability to take control of their circumstances. And I think what I think is funny about, because I'm more of a spectator. I'm based in Mexico now, so I'm pretty much just like a guy at the finish line, watching the manosphere, watching this passport bros movement just unfold. More like just somebody at the finish line cheering other brothers on from the States. Mm-hmm. So what I'm seeing now is like these talking points of trying to shame the passport bros for I wouldn't say for outsourcing their sexual desires, if you will. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to question that the business model of the passport bros when it comes to that. And at the end of the day, what's developing is that we're seeing that it brings the results. That business model actually works of what we're doing, of how we're responding to the misandry in the U.S.
Yes, sir.
So when we compare it to how actual companies do a business model, when they choose to outsource their customer service, for example, they'll outsource it to another country where they can get just as helpful representatives, probably more efficient, because they can actually you can get more out of them for the time that they're giving. So they give you more time for whatever you're paying them, and that company may be outperforming another company because they're choosing to simply just go where there's more talent for a cheaper cost. So it's the same with the Passport Bros. We're going elsewhere. We're outsourcing our sexual desires, or we're outsourcing our wants, and they question that model. They try to question us mentally, as though psychologically something wrong with us, or in a sexual manner, as though we're supposed to be shamed for outsourcing that from the U.S. So I think that's odd. I don't. A lot of times I don't think they're aware of what they're doing, or when they actually try to shame Passport Bros, or be these pirates, if you will. So.
Oh, yeah. Definitely passport pirates, man. What are some of the talking points that you've been through personally from these passport pirates going through a passport psychosis? Because a passport pirate in the Urban Dictionary basically means a woman that uses American gringo to come to America and use a passport to steal his wealth and to steal his things that are beneficial resources. So basically, she used a man with a passport to come to America. But I use the word passport pirates because these men are trying to steal your joy. They're trying to steal your hope. Just like a pirate, they want to steal everything because they are scavengers and they're very predatory in their mindset. But once again, these same men that are accusing other men of doing something, they're doing the same thing that they're accusing you of doing. Not you, but other men of doing. And so that's a pathology, man. That's an unconscious, maybe a conscious pathology that's tied to some brokenness within themselves. The same people that are accusing you of damn tricking, they're tricking, But like I told you earlier, marriage is the biggest legal form of prostitution. Marriage is the form of legal prostitution, in my opinion, because you're trading resources for the hope of getting sex. That's why women were asked to be right. I mean, let's be real.
They're the biggest tricks.
Right. Yeah. If a man knew he couldn't get sex from a woman, he would never marry her. The only thing go ahead.
Also with the lurking liability on the back end of marriage. So you the biggest trick when you trying to marry in the U.S. with those marriage laws. Right. Because not only are you paying so much on the front end, courting her to get to the point of marrying the woman, you also pretty much offering that protection, that financial support, you giving her children, and all the while you're absorbing all the risk of if the marriage fails. So it's like you the biggest sucker. If you don't think you're a trick, you're a sucker. It goes hand in hand. So you're right about that.
Right. But see, people don't look at it like that. They don't look at it like that, And so like my man Andre 316, like he said, my passport, my choice, because they said my body, my choice, and that's fine. Men can say my phallus, my passport, my money, my choice. Just like all human beings should have the right to self-determination to live their life on their own terms, men should have that same right to live their lives on their own terms. As a clinical therapist, we call it the right to self-determination, the right to live your life on your own terms, unencumbered, unhinged, free of shame, ridicule, or guilt. But see, so many men have been guilty into taking bad deals, because they over-identify, as I said earlier, with their mothers. They don't identify with masculinity because they never seen it. That's why other men come in other men's spaces acting goofy or calling men old, calling them perverts. Or, just making stuff up. We call it in the clinical world magical thinking. I call them magical Negroes because, like Puff the Magic Dragon, they're magical Negroes coming up with stuff. They don't have any evidence, but they have magical thinking, which is a byproduct of delusional personality disorder. Right. And I'm not saying they have delusional personality disorder, but they do have some of the symptoms of a delusional person, because delusion means there's no evidence to what you're saying. You're making stuff up. So that means you have delusional or magical thinking. Yeah. And some have what's called ideals of reference, where they just keep mentally gesticulating things, but it has nothing to do with the concept. And so when you try to, live your life on your own terms, Brother Dewan, once again, the passport pirate will try to shame you. And once again, they'll do this. They'll do this.
Owner, you miss me? Huh? Oh, yes, sir. I miss you like a hog miss fly, like a baby miss mammy titty. I miss you like I miss a rock in my shoe.
Yeah, they got the Stockholm syndrome, and they tend to over-identify with the captor. Who is the captor? The captor is part of the gyno-potestal order. Shout out to, once again, to Dr. Tia Johnson. They tend to over-identify. And so when you try to win the freedom, they'll get mad at you, and they'll say something goofy. So, Peso, man, you need to show your face, brother. If you want to talk, you got to show your face. I don't do things behind the camera. So if you want to talk as a man, you got to show your face. If you can't show your face, we can't talk. So if you're going to talk, you got to show your face, brother.
Yeah, but certainly they that's funny you bring that up, that they have these delusions, because it's like all of these things that they come up with in their heads to try to see if it sticks. And it's similar to what Black women typically do when they have an argument or a disagreement with a Black man in any way. They'll just start with the shaming languages, and then they'll just try to come up with all these different, ways to turn the Rubik's Cube of how they can pretty much paint you into a corner. So I don't know what the motive for it is. Strange, man. I'm from North Carolina, just like you is. So when you mention when you mention that, we don't take kindly to people trying to kind of force themselves upon us when it comes to their ideas, especially when it comes to the men who carve their way through life. No matter how we came up, we try to make a path for ourselves, and to try to have some of these Black pirates, if you will, these pirates,
passport pirates,
yeah, right. try to get in the way of what we're working so hard to achieve. It does kind of make you want to, slack some jaws in your words.
So hold tight. So I'm gonna ask you again, Peso. If you want to come on, brother, you have the cam up. I don't know. Are you afraid to show your face? Are you afraid of what you look like? I don't know, but I'm gonna give you about 2 more minutes. I'm trying to be respectful. I'm not gonna disrespect the brother as long as he come respectful. If you come respectful, I'll come respectful. But you got to show your face. If you don't show your face, we can't chop it up, brother.
Oh yeah, it look like he's asking you.
No, I'm not gonna come. Right. And you know what he looked? And you know what he looked just like. He looked just like the guy. I've seen him before. Some of my homies showed him to him, but he looked just like the guy in Django. The house slave. Look just like him. Yeah. So I'm sure he gonna run me down and lie on me. That's fine. You can't lie on me because you ain't got nothing to back up. But what man wants to have a conversation, but he's so ashamed of how he looks because he has a schema affliction. He won't cam up. But he said, well, you can come to my show. I'm not coming to your show, brother. I don't come to people's shows. You're beneath me. You're not on my level. I gave you the opportunity to come to my show and talk like a man, but you're not a man. You do what a lot of these women do, go and cause chaos. So you must be an ugly dude because you won't talk. I mean, you see me. I don't have an avatar. But he said, you don't want to talk. I'll be waiting, avatar or no avatar. What the fuck? I mean, avatar, no avatar. Talk. Yeah, Show your face. Show your face, Peso, man. Then we can talk as men.
The internet's a strange place.
No, hold tight. I'm gonna give him about 2 minutes to talk, but you got to cam up. When you cam up, let the world see you as a man. You're a man. Men don't hide behind the avatars. Because I'm sure you're gonna do some shows on me and lie about me. But you guys have seen it now. Top Gun, all my brothers, you guys have seen it. I'm not disrespecting this man. I'm coming to him in the spirit of respect. But I'm sure he's gonna make content about me, running me down, which is fine. Like you've done a lot of men. But cam up, Peso, man. Don't be an avatar. Let's talk. I'm a licensed therapist. Background in law enforcement too. You want to talk as a man, talk as a man. So I'm gonna give you some time. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to be exact. If not, I'm gonna drop you down and block you permanently. So I'm giving you the chance to talk as a man, but So I'm gonna drop you down in a minute. So once again, Dewan, what do you think about all this foolishness, man? With so many men being preoccupied with men do with their bodies, their thousands and money. I never understood it, man.
It's funny, man. It's funny. Like I've never seen this before. I thought maybe after a certain age that would discontinue. You know, that type of idea.
Hold tight. Typical shaming language, man. Listen, guys. Listen to what this clown said, man. The peso clown. The peso man looked like the third encounters, the first encounter. He looks like an alien, man. I've seen the dude before. Dude's ugly. And so I see why he won't damn cam up, because he's an ugly dude. Let me show you guys something what this dude said. You know, I knew he was coming for me, so you can run me down on your channel too. He said, this is what they do, shaming language. The peso man, he said, PM, I have more subs than you, idiot. Block me like I care. You are a coward. I'm out. You see what I'm saying? And like I told you guys, that is a sign of a person dealing with mental issues. They when it comes down to being deaf, they deny the evidence. Where's the evidence that you accuse the man of? You deny the evidence. You become enraged when you present them with the evidence. They argue, do ad hominem attacks. This guy's proving me right. See, I know what I'm talking about. They argue, do ad hominem attacks because he don't have an argument, and he fight or flee. So what did he do? DeJuan, you see it? He flee. Yeah. He fought through verbal diatribes, and he flee. So what he's going to do next, like he's doing a lot of men, he's going to write a show about me and run me down and call me all kinds of names, which is funny, which I don't care. And but he talks about, you know, I got more subs. What does more subs have to do with the argument, goofball? It has nothing to do with the argument. But you guys see it for yourself. You guys see it, you know, and I'm going to tell you something, Peso, man. I got a picture of you, so be careful how you tread, because I won't bother you, you don't bother me. I don't know you. I have never disrespected you. So I got a picture of you. I got a picture, you know, and some of the brothers say you look like an alien, man. You know? And he's back again. He's neurotic. You see what I talked about earlier. They're very, very neurotic. You know, very neurotic. They won't show the face. They have a NEUROSIS. They're neurotic. They're going through what's called a psychosis. He's being neurotic now because he's very obsessed. I asked him several times to cam up and talk as a man, but you guys have seen that he won't cam up. What man comes on another man's platform, DeJuan, and won't cam up and talk? He won't cam up and talk because he must be ashamed of how he looks. I never understood it.
And then he asked you to come on his show. How do you come on another person's show?
Right. I don't care about your show. Your show is a show of chaos and drama. I don't care. Subs does not always qualify quality content, sir. You can have 1 million subs, but your content is not quality because your content is based on destroying the order of masculinity due to your pathologies as a man. I don't even know you. I know you've been causing a lot of chaos and lying on folks because you have a thinking error. But I told you to cam up. Be a man to cam up. But I'm going to ask you for the last time. The next time I'm going to block you permanently. But you guys see it. You guys see it. Guy said he's ugly as sin too. Boy, look like a GTA Vice City character. And I got a picture of him. I don't want to out the dude. I mean, if you guys want to see it, I'll show it to you. But I'm not going to disrespect the dude. If the peso man don't disrespect me, I won't disrespect him. He's disrespecting some of my brothers. But watch this, guys. Troy, I want you to make sure you notate this because I'm sure he's gonna do a video on me soon, running me down, which is fine. But Peso, man, I can get you right, man. You know, I'm a licensed therapist in the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel state. I help you get rid of some of those mental pathologies that you're dealing with because you definitely have some pathologies. The fact that you won't show your face, you might have body dysmorphia. You know, you have such a visceral hatred for yourself that you won't even cam up. What man does that, DeJuan? You know, I don't understand that. But I'm about to block you in a minute.
It's hard for me to believe this stuff still go on.
He said, "Let me say one more thing. First of all, I have pictures on all my page, bro. You are a homo. See, there go the shaming language. If you want to see my face, go to my page. Furthermore, I look 10 times, 100 times better. Okay, but then cam up." He said, "You goofy." He can't even spell right. You goofy. My picture is on video. You're not worth doing the video on Goofy. Right, well, okay, well, fine, Peso man. Why are you, okay, so let me show you guys what the Peso man looked like. I tried to be kind to him. Did I not, guys? But now I got to expose him, you know, because now he's being disrespectful. So, guys, this is what this poor man looked like. I gave Peso man, I'm giving you a chance to cam up, brother. But you must feel bad about yourself, you know, that you won't show your face. So I'm going to show the brothers what the Peso man looked like. Because masculine men don't do that. DeJuan, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with how that works.
I don't even know the dude, so I don't know why he's over here in my chat causing chaos. He ran some of my brothers down, and lying on folks. Now he calling me ugly too. So I'm sure he's gonna do a video on me running me down, creating lies, which is okay. It's okay, Peso Man.
Sound like he trying to get some promotion for his channel.
Yeah. But that's what, see, guys like him, they don't use positivity and male empowerment. They use negative stuff to build their brand because they're broken men. They can't have a coaching conversation. I asked the man respectfully to cam up, but obviously he doesn't feel comfortable showing his face. So he must have body dysmorphia or something. He must feel bad about himself. And it's okay. But yeah, man. So what's some of the things that you had heard men say, man?
So personally, in my life, where I'm from, people don't really care that much for travel. I did mention subtly before I ended up making that move out of the States to Mexico. I was mentioning to friends about, possibly taking a trip out of the country. Let's check out Latin America just to kind of see how things are over there. Maybe like 4 or 5 day trip, but it just didn't spark anything in them. So I kind of kept all my travel aspirations to myself, my international stuff, and made the move on my own. So my experience of all this, what they call dick policing and what you call it again? What's that word you call it? You got for this title of this channel?
Passport pirate.
Yeah, the passport pirates. This is new to me. I'm seeing all this year that there's guys who actually going this hard to try to make men feel less worthy.
Right.
Less worthy of trying to control themselves, having agency over their life pretty much.
Right. Well, they troll because they're broken men, but this gentleman has never trolled another white man. He don't talk about black women going to the grill Jamaica of sleeping with natives. He's in a country that's known for sex trafficking, Uganda. He's probably sleeping with those poor women in Uganda. He's probably tricking too. That's why he has so much hatred towards other men. And I don't understand it. Men ain't bothering him. They're not disrespecting him.
Yeah, that's
but
another
he comes
thing
on the men's
too.
channel. I don't get it, man. So I told the Peso man to came up and let's talk.
Yeah.
But I think he feels bad about how he looks, so he don't want to come up.
I think he might be like you said, an agent in chaos. I think if he really had an argument, he would come on. And,
I'll give him a chance to cam up. See, he want to come to my house and do things on his own terms. It doesn't work like that, Peso man. I'm the arbiter of my channel. If I come to your channel, I got to cam up. I don't hide behind. See, watch this. I'm not hiding behind avatars. There's no need for me to hide behind the avatar because I'm real. People that hide behind avatars, I don't take them serious because many times they're trolls or they have unresolved mental illness. But I'm trying to, ask the Peso man to cam up. So guys, I'm gonna show y'all the Peso man. This is what the Peso man looked like. I guess he got a schema affliction because that's what it looks like, guys. So you can tell he ain't the most handsome man in the world, but that's what the Peso man looked like. So guys, I'm sure he's gonna do some diatribes on me, but that's the Peso man. The Peso man, damn it, causing chaos all across the internet. What did he say? 30 plus defamation videos from the Peso man. Lawsuits moving forward to 100,000 per video. So go ahead, keep making videos. I have more information as well. You address in the gun. I wonder what your ex-wife in 1996 had to say about you. Maybe I buy her lunch with your Google AdSense money. Assaulting women. This man assaulted women at 51 such places. So this man is an abuser of women. So he's projecting. Y'all see him, the Peso man. On my damn channel, run his mouth. You can tell he's not the most handsome man in the world. But he's probably in Uganda tricking. He's probably in Uganda sex trafficking women.
Dang.
Because I used to work in law enforcement. And so I'm the kind of person like this, man. I don't bother nobody. I don't know this dude. I didn't disrespect him. But you can tell,
yeah,
he got some issues, man. He got some serious issues.
You know what? Tim Howard makes a good point. I'm checking out the comments a little bit. He talks about the U.S. has the biggest tricks. Why not talk about tricking in the U.S.? That's a really big subject right there. That could be a subject that definitely overshadows any tricking that goes on overseas. The level of tricking, you can go on Instagram, TikTok, you can see.
Well, hold up. Peso Man say he look well. Come on up there, Peso Man, because I think I look good. For to be my age, man. I got that nice gray salt and pepper. I'm 6'6", highly educated. They're more smarter than you. So now he's trying to use reverse psychology. So Peso Man won't come up, man. But I got a picture of the Peso Man, where the Peso Man look like an alien of the third kind. He like an alien, man.
He don't want no parts, huh?
Peso Man back here. Peso Man, bless your heart, man. I feel sorry for you, brother. Come on up, Peso Man. I know you ain't gonna come up because you're a coward. You're a coward. You were probably raised by your mama. You poor, bless your heart. But you assaulted. But see, guys, make sure you guys, this is for content. This man is assaulting women. He assaulted his wife in the past, but he's going across the internet, causing confusion, causing defamation. And, Peso Man, you so hell-bent on trying to hurt other people because you do it because you are a broken man. And you're no different, Peso Man, than, the first encounter, the third kind. Yeah, he's no different, guys, than this man. The Peso Man actually looked like that black slave capture on Django. And hold tight, this is exactly what it looked like. But I would love to talk to the Peso Man because, his content is sort of funny in a way, but he definitely got some issues because real men don't do that, man. Real men don't go on other men's pages doing that. But this is what happens when you got mental illness.
Owner, you miss me? Huh? Oh, yes, sir. I miss you like a hog miss fly, like a baby miss mammy titty. I miss you like I miss a little rock in my shoe.
Attacking women.
So I'm sure you're gonna make some content on me. So it's okay, Peso Man. I got some content on you now, brother. I think you saw the funny, Peso Man. But you definitely got some mental issues, man. The way you go across causing chaos. Any other brothers want to come on? I'm about to drop you down, Peso Man, because you ain't serious, man. So let me remove.
I think he called us homos. What did you say?
Yeah, it's okay, man. Bless his heart. Bless his heart. Oh, the Peso Man, brother lies attack. Yeah, they say you were attacking women, so you beat your wife, Peso Man. The guys say he look like a drag queen. Here you go, guys. Look at the Peso Man. He said he looked better than me. Look how ugly he is. He look like Smeagol off Lord of the Rings. Look at him, guys. Look at the Peso Man. He look like Smeagol off Lord of the Rings. Look at him. But this dude say he look better than me. Dude, I'm 6'6", I'm dark-skinned, I'm highly intelligent. My looks are superior to yours, bro. But look at him. He look like an alien from the third encounters the third kind. I'm being petty, but when you come on folks' channels and causing chaos, I'm gonna get petty. But guys, look at him. Look at the Peso Man. the Peso rat.
Peso rat.
Calling folks homosexual, man. Look at him. But this guy said he looks better than me. He looks a little weird, guys. He looks a little weird.
You say he's in Uganda?
Yeah, he's in Uganda, yeah. He got plenty of women in Uganda, man. But he all on the internet causing chaos with other men, calling other men out, accusing them of sex trafficking, defaming other men's character. But he's doing the same thing that he's accusing other men of doing. He's accused, according to the guy, I don't know how true it is, say he beat his ex-wife too. So, but once again, guys like that, guys are, it's classic projection. They're broken men. They get behind avatars, what he's doing, because they have schema affliction. So, Peso Man, I'm gonna drop you down, brother. Hey, I ain't got nothing against you, dog, but you came up here with the smoke. But I'm gonna have to drop you down. Actually, I'm gonna ask you to drop down. I'm gonna ban you. So you can do one of the two things, Peso. I'm trying to be kind. Thank you, Peso. I appreciate it, brother. But
I was actually kind of hoping he was gonna come up. So that would be interesting to see that.
Oh yeah, Peso Man ain't coming up, man. The brother say he look like ET, man. Look at him. So you can make all the content about me all you want to. You're gonna have to bring some of yourselves to my channel. But that's the Peso Man. He probably got dealing with body dysmorphia, guys. He's definitely dealing with body dysmorphia. The guys are clowning him. They call him the Peso squirrel.
Peso squirrel.
Yeah, he looked real weird. Looked real weird in this picture. But bless his heart. Bless his heart.
You from the state because that's all we did growing up was just crack jokes. We used to rag on people.
Somebody called him Lord Voldemort.
Dang. Face it.
I'm being petty now, man. Shout out to the Peso Man. Shout out to the Peso Man. Peso Man killing it on YouTube Live. You can probably show me.
I want to say that you definitely put on a great show today, man. This presentation,
I appreciate it, man.
Was educational and entertaining.
That's that Leo swag, man. You know that Leo Nation Quad, man. He said he probably in Africa messing with kids. Yeah, see, people like that. Like I said, Ted Haggard. Ted Haggard used to preach on the alternative lifestyle. Most people that preach on what other men are doing, they're doing it themselves. You know, many times they went through pain, they went through struggle, they went through issues. But they are dealing with their own pain. So what they do, they project their pain onto you because of the pain that they went through. So it's like it's a buffer for them. It helps them feel good about themselves because on the inside, they're really empty. They're empty men on the inside. Shout out to my man LTR. We call it Love Together and Devotion. What's going on, dog?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Yes, sir. LTR. I always call him LTD, Love Together and Devotion. Do you know about the Peso Man? He's on YouTube calling a lot of.
I don't know. I don't know who that guy is at all.
Oh yeah, man. The Peso Man. He be
my first time ever hearing about the guy.
Oh yeah. He be attacking the Passport Brothers, man. I've had guys attacking me, calling me old man. Say we can't get cantaloupe head. You know. It's funny, man, because see, they don't have any substance to their argument. You know, he attacked brothers that I know. Attacked a lot of guys that I know, but that's what they do because they are broken men. See, I can help the Peso Man if he pay me right, because it ain't gonna be for free. but I can help the Peso Man get rid of some of those thinking errors. But the fact that this man is going across YouTube causing chaos, he's a saboteur of his own ignorance. And he's doing the same thing that he's accusing other men of doing. He's doing the same thing. But see,
cognitive dissonance is real.
The cognitive dissonance is real, man. It's unreal. How would you like to add to the conversation about the Passport Bros and the Passport Pirates, man? How would you like to add to the conversation?
I mean, like you already stated, you know what I'm saying? It's like, do real men wake up thinking about other men and what they doing and how they spending their time and what they got?
Right. Hold tight. Passport, I'm gonna ask you one more time, Peso, man. This is the last time. Because now you're being very neurotic. Now you are going through the stages of neuroses. And I'm trying to give you an opportunity, but I'm about to ban you. So I want you can come and talk as a man, but we need to see your face. It's no need to hide your face if you have nothing to hide. So I want you to count down to 1. If you don't cam up in 10:59, I'm going to ban you permanently from my studio. I'm trying to be kind, brother. I'm trying to give you the chance to talk. But go ahead. If he's not on Troy 159, he's going to be permanently banned, man.
Talking to him.
He said, look at it. Yeah, he ain't gonna cam up because he knows he's an alien, man. Hold on.
What?
Hold on, man. And listen, guys, I'm not being therapeutic right now. I'm being petty. I'm being petty. I'm being funny because in the clinical world, guys, we call it a paradoxical directive. So what in a paradoxical directive, what we do, if the person side wants cam up. Top Gun said the Rainbow Man. And this is what the Peso Man said. So yeah, he's gonna get me wild. He probably gonna do a show on me. That's fine. I have some of your subscribers coming to my channel. And like I said, Peso, I ain't got nothing against you, brother. I don't even know you, man. But anyway, this is what the Peso Man said. Hold tight. He said, in 1966, I was not married. You Negroes are lying. So this y'all guys remember Rumpelstiltskin? They become very neurotic. He's probably neurotic right now, and they keep going through mental gesticulations because they're broken men. What man comes to another man's channel causing chaos? You don't know him, but causing chaos because he has a preoccupation with what men are doing with their fallacies. And what they're doing with their money.
Other men, that's something serious.
Don't you find that weird?
That's weird.
But watch this. He didn't say anything to white men going to Europe, Asia, or other parts of the world. He doesn't say anything to white women when they were going to Africa, like when they were going to different parts of the world, like Nicaragua. They were going to Jamaica and also Africa. He didn't say nothing to black women when they were going to Negril, Jamaica. No. But when black men go there, you want to call black. That doesn't make any sense to me.
It's praised and encouraged.
Gail Nelson said, "My precious off Smeagol, Smeagol, Lord of the Rings, look like the precious." But what's some of the struggles you've seen, LTR, about these passport pirates, man?
I want to bring attention to a situation. Minister Jap was talking about us the other day, which is funny. I pretty much like Minister Jap. I've been watching him for a while, but it's funny that him of all people will have something to say about other bros when, like I said, it's a video of him getting knocked out with one punch. It's a video with him getting knocked out with one punch.
Hey, was that real?
Like, tread light, like, you know what I'm saying?
I remember that.
Wow, right.
Oh my God, it's funny.
Right.
But yeah.
And you know what it is, LTR, man? It's like I said, it's over-identification with feminine thought. Because masculine men don't do that. I promise you won't find other white content creators going in black male spaces telling them how to live their lives. What to do with their money or their bodies. But once again, that's a person that's dealing with psychotic thought. You're gonna come on my channel, causing chaos. It doesn't make any sense, man. It doesn't make any sense. What are some of the things you dealt with, LTR, about traveling? Have anybody attacked you personally for traveling? Because, see, I believe men should have the right to self-determination, to live their lives on their own terms, free of shame, free of guilt, free of harm. But once again, the peso man is in Uganda. He's in Uganda, a place that's known for sex trafficking. He's in Uganda himself. So who
really is mixed reactions, though. It's mixed reactions. Some people are accepting of it, some people are not. You get some, some vibes of jealousy and envy from other brothers. But you know what I mean? You kind of like just find your own space and do your own thing and kind of not pay attention to, the detractors or the negativity and so on and so forth. But for the most part, when you meet another black man in a different, you see, when you go to a different country and you see other black faces like yours, it's kind of like you have that, you identify with each other and you have like, I got somebody like me that's around, so it kind of like help you to feel, a little bit more safer, or whatever the fact, like you got somebody that you can kind of exchange information and kind of get to know or whatever. But there's some people that's kind of like they got that HNIC complex, like Steven, where they see it, it's what the dude's saying now, white chicks. Mm-hmm. Sir, didn't anybody tell you this is a white party? Right. Latrell, when he found out that Marlon Wayans, Shawn Wayans was a black man, he was like, did anybody tell you this was an all-white party?
And this guy Zeno said that Coach EO made a video telling black men not to travel for a wife.
Whoa,
and
really?
He's white. Wow,
all right, that's crazy.
I don't know who's Coach EO. Who's that?
That's disrespectful.
Right. But once again, white men have been going to Europe for years, which I don't have a problem with. They've been going to Asia. They've been going to Africa, living their lives. Philippines, right?
Like in California, you walk around, it's a lot of white men with Asian women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like you see a lot of white men with Asian women in California. So it's like, how is all of a sudden it's a big thing to tell, black men who are trying to explore their options as it relates to finding other women. They're trying to explore their options and so on and so forth. Now all of a sudden, we need to put an end to this. We need to stop this because you understand what I'm saying? When this has been going on a long time, and this just didn't start. You understand what I'm saying? But now all of a sudden that black people are getting hip to world travel and going to different places and meeting women and so on and so forth. Now it's an issue. It's kind of
but once again, man, they want you to be slaves. They don't want you to be free thinking men. They don't want you to be liberated. Like I said, I don't bother nobody. I don't even know this dude. I ain't got nothing against the peso man. He's actually funny to me. But I'm sure he's gonna be running me down soon. That's fine, Like I say, I get him right if you want to get a diagnostic consultation. Shout out to my man Al Pacino Brown. He said, we weren't able to deposit this payment instantly, but the funds will be available in your bank account shortly. Okay. All right. Thank you, Al Pacino Brown, man.
That's a deal, right?
What do you get from the conversation?
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Thank you for coming on. And we're going to sign off in a minute because it's getting late. But what are you guys getting from the conversation?
What I got from the conversation was, a lot of stuff that I already heard before, about Stockholm syndrome and how we need to, cartel our emotions a little bit, especially when we're dealing with each other, because we already have dealt with so much trauma. So being negative and projecting your own negative emotions onto situations without like generalizing and stereotyping each other. You understand what I'm saying? We kind of doing the same harm and the same bigotry that, we kind of learn the behaviors of our oppressor, and we treating each other with the same type of negative energy and so on and so forth. Because, like, what's funny to me is, like, I put in certain spaces that you're being a bigot. You know what I'm saying? That you're acting, the way you're acting is the very definition of bigotry.
Right.
You being a bigot, but the crazy part about it, you being a bigot towards another group of black men. How does that even? How you don't compute that? How you don't see that? Right. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's definitely very prejudicial, because prejudice actually leads to forms of discrimination like sexism, racism, and other isms. So it's almost like anti-manism. This man has a prejudicial preoccupation with men living their lives on their own terms. But once again, black men can't be black men. We got to always settle for less, because once again, the peso man probably over-identified with his mother, or it could be a narcissistic injury that he's dealing with, because most men that are narcissists, they want other people to feed their narcissistic supply. So a narcissist got to feel like they're in power because they're actually broken men. And so, like this goofball that was on the other channel, man, he was talking about me and some of the brothers, the show we did. There was an epic show a couple of weeks ago. He was saying, all this using shaming language, old and all this kind of stuff. They're old. But then when you look at the picture of him, he looks old. I mean, weird stuff, man. Weird stuff. Right. So, when men come together, this lets men know that they're living their lives on their own terms. These PUAs are getting upset. They're talking about game and all this goofy stuff. Who cares? Why would you use game when the majority or a large portion of the women in this country are not worthy of your time in the first place? There are some good women in America, but they're so hard to find. So why would you use game on? See, men use game is synonymous to bait. So men would use bait to catch a woman that was considered to be a noteworthy woman. That's why I said men are the prize catchers. The man determines if she's a prize, and if that man catches her, then she's caught. So he sees. Right. So the man see her as, she's not the prize unless that man deems her to be the prize.
He don't see himself as the prize. He see her as the prize. That's why he used the word game or bait.
There you go.
He was really the prize. Right. You was really the prize. You set the terms of how this relationship is going to go. Right. You really the prize.
But watch this. But he's the catcher. So both are technically prizes in their own right, but it's under a different category. He's a prize as it relates to being a catcher. She's a prize as it relates to being a woman of virtue. Do you see my point? So that's why I came up with the term prize catcher. I see my prize, therefore she was caught by me, now she's covered by me. So men would use bait or quote unquote game to get good women that were noteworthy years ago. But you're dealing with modern women now that have not been raised to be wise, don't respect men, have been liberally indoctrinated, have had a lot of fun. And the young folks, y'all say ran through, that's what the young folks say, got kids by other men, but you're supposed to use game on that? Why would you waste your time on using game on something that's severely used? I don't understand it. I don't have a problem with game if you're dealing with a noteworthy woman, because really, if you're the game that people use now is more manipulative game. But the game that men in the past would use was more or less kosher game. And kosher game is this respectable, honorable conversation where you understand her body language, she understands yours, but it's not predicated on manipulation. In other countries, you don't really need game because you just be yourself. They don't say, well, if she don't call, you wait 5 hours and call back or spin plates and all that goofy stuff, man. You don't have to do that, man. You don't have to do that. You just be yourself. And if she like you, she'll talk to you. But you don't have to waste time with women that's foolish, man. But like I said, they had all this fun, but they want you to put a ring on their finger. And I'm going to do a show soon, guys.
It's the same way. When a woman likes you, you ain't got to work so hard.
Right. You don't have to work so hard. Right.
So pay attention to the ones that like you.
Right. You pay attention to the ones that like you, man. Right. It's literally that simple. Where are you from, LTR?
Well, that's a complicated answer. I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but I lived on the West Coast in California for like the past, 12 years or so. Counting.
Okay.
Right now I reside in the Caribbean. So
okay. So being an educated man like yourself, what are some of the struggles that you see in dating in modern times and relationships, man? What do you see?
Recognizing those cultural differences up front, you know what I mean, and being able to communicate those things, right? Because sometimes, like, even though two people look the same, they still could have cultural differences, you know, like, because there's a subculture that's created when one person has a single parent household or so on and so forth. You know what I mean? There's a different culture created in that environment where it's a different culture that's created within a two-parent household. You understand what I'm saying? When I say culture, I mean upbringing, education, socioeconomic status, and like traditional norms and stuff like that. So that's what I mean when I say culture. You know what I'm saying? So understanding those cultural differences up front, even like I said, even when there's two people that look the same, they still may have a difference in culture. Like, for example, when you go to different countries, like in Latin America and so on and so forth, like here in the Caribbean and so on and so forth, you see people who look like you, but they don't speak the same language. They didn't grow up in the same, you know what I mean? They didn't grow up under the same economic structure and so on and so forth. So you kind of got to like work through those little, nuances that you don't really see up front. You kind of got to have those conversations, you know what I mean? Or, kind of figure it out. And then also too, understanding that sometimes communication, well, we know that communication is much more than just what you say. You know what I mean? It's facial expression, is body language, is you understand what I'm saying? Cross-cultural conversations. You know, like there's certain things that somebody who look like you can say, and you not get offended by it. But if somebody that's from a different culture say the same thing, it's kind of like, well, what you mean by that? You know what I mean?
Right. And I'm gonna say it again. I don't believe men should per se travel for women alone. No. But I'm not saying, but see, the overgeneralization is that men just travel for women. That's an overgeneralization. I don't think men should go to countries simping either, because women are the same for the most part at their hard drive.
Right. But typically guys with passports, they good dudes. You understand what I'm saying?
They're normally good dudes, man. They're normally good dudes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They still have the privilege to travel, because having a passport is a privilege, right? In America,
it's a privilege, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a privilege. So like they still got their privilege to travel and so on and so forth and leave the country and all that. So it's like, why? I mean, like, why do you get to set the rules? Like, you can tell, like, if I say I'm going sightseeing, I better go sightseeing and be in my hotel at 9 o'clock because you say so. No, I mean, come on, man. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Why I gotta live under your scrutiny and your magnifying glass? Why I gotta answer to you? Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, but like I was saying in the chat, tourism and prostitution go hand in hand. You can go anywhere in America, and wherever there's tourists, like Vegas, Houston, Atlanta, Miami, anywhere there's actual tourism, there's gonna be some level of prostitution. So it's kind of like, it goes hand in hand. So it's kind of like, you can't, that's like calling, that's like calling a handicapped kid for double dribble in a basketball game. Like, come on, man. It's like,
right. But the issue is, once again, man, these same people that are talking about other men of ethnic origin, they don't say it to white men. It's almost like they identify with the captor. They have the Stockholm syndrome. They identify with the captor, but they have a stronger aversion towards the man that look like them, because that's due to negative socialization. And what it does is makes them be victims of what's called unconscious pathologies. And that's why
mindset dudes, they got passports.
Right.
So obviously they've done some of the things that they're now trying to shun.
Sure they have. Sure they have. Like I said, man, when Eddie Long was living, Eddie Long used to preach against alphabet activities. But they found out Eddie Long was doing the same thing that he preached against. Ted Haggard. A lot of folks do it. So they're doing it for one or two reasons. They're projecting their own issues, but also what they're doing, a lot of times, they don't want you to get to that country because they want to keep all the quote-unquote booty for themselves. Right. They don't want you to get the gold. So, they don't want you to get it. So they want to shame you into silence and make you feel bad, but they're doing the same thing that they're accusing you of doing. I promise you, the same guy that's accusing these guys, he's doing the exact same thing. I know he's doing it. He knows he's doing it. And other people got receipts of him doing it. And me personally, I don't care what he do. That's his business. You do what you want to do. Right, yeah. What you do with your body or your money between you and God. When you die, you got to answer to God for it. But
don't affect me. It don't affect my life in no kind of way.
Right. But, you know, I don't go and tell other men how to live their life. That's not masculine. It's not masculine to call out other men and lie on other men and defame other men's character. Men don't do that.
Right. No.
You know, and a real man will care him up. They will care him up and have a conversation like a man. But you're not a man. You know, you scared to show your face. Who hides behind the avatar? But I'm gonna do a show talking about classic projection. It's gonna be a comprehensive show talking about classic projection, because a lot of these guys, you take YouTube away, they're broken. Many of them got unresolved mental illness. Many of them got unresolved issues with their childhood. If you take YouTube away, they would be nobody.
Exactly.
You see them in person, they about 3 feet tall, man. You know, but they project an image bigger than what they really are, because they have a condition, like I said, and you guys see it all the time with people that have delusion disorders, but they project a condition, guys, called this. Yeah, they have egocyntonia. They have a very syntonic ego because they are broken from the pain of their past. They think that their delusions are normal. They think they're supposed to feel the way that they feel. But when you tell them, give them the evidence, they can't provide you with any evidence because they are deaf. They cannot hear what you're trying to say. And that's why these shows are so important. That's why these conversations are so important. That's why, as a former therapist, correction officer, and a former teacher, I've done it all. I try to use clinical concepts and tie it into human science and human art to give you guys what's called an amalgamation of two contrasting principles. So, but guys, I'm glad you enjoyed the show, man. This was an awesome show, man. You know, I'm sure the Peso man gonna get me, you know, but it's okay. I ain't got no beef against the Peso man. He's a funny dude. I actually like his content when he ain't, you know, running folks down. But it seems like his content is very, very vitriolic, where he's constantly accusing people, a very accusatory spirit. And normally the people that do that, they have their own issues that they got to deal with. So. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the show, man. Anything else you guys want to share or talk about?
No, it's a great show.
Yeah. Did y'all see? Did y'all see the show called Degrees that I did with the heavy hitters? The one I did Sunday.
Oh yeah, I seen that. Yeah, I seen that show this Sunday.
Yeah, man. Yeah, go check it out, DeJuan, man. That show, man. That was that show broke the internet, man.
Oh really? Okay.
Oh man, that show was comprehensive, man. You know, because let me show you guys something real quick, because this is why guys are frustrated, man. You know. Guys are getting to travel abroad because they're tired of dealing with the behaviors that they have here in America. So let's check out this trailer real quick. We're going to sign off in a minute. Hold tight.
Relationship deprivation.
When you date a woman and she may be a potential wife, it's a competition thing all the way. I can't take it no more.
They feel propped up because they feel more beholden to the government. And then their man comes second. That's why they figure that they're strong, independent, don't need no man, because they have the government.
Because the men are failing us, to be honest. Guys thinking about themselves, and they'll think about you after you react.
You don't hear anything about being good wives and all this other stuff. What you hear is you're strong and you independent. You can do it on your own. You got black girl magic, black girl rock, but you ain't said nothing about black family.
My mother is like what they consider to be the strong black woman. I feel like I projected that onto the guys that I dated.
Ladies have no idea how stiff their competition really is. You have no clue how black men are viewed in the rest of the world. We are the #1 most sexually desired man on the face of this planet.
They would call Jesus Dusty if he was here living in America, because of the gross narcissism that a lot of our women have.
So real quick, guys, are y'all frustrated? DeJuan and LTR, man. You know, there was a song when LTR was a baby. He wasn't even born back then. It was called LTD, called Love Together and Devotion. You know, and that was a time when women were women. They were ladies. You know, you didn't mind singing and serenading to a woman. And then also, God was a woman back in the 70s. You listen to some of the albums from your grandma. Her name was Shirley Brown. And Shirley Brown, guys, she used to say this.
Now you see, I don't want no trouble now.
Shirley Brown said, I love that man. And see, that's how women were of the past. Anita Baker used to say, I apologize. See, I grew up, guys, in a time when the women were more feminine.
Yeah.
So I don't identify with the stuff you guys identify with. I grew up in a time when women had more shame. Not this new under the sun. Folks been doing sin for years, but now sin has reached a crescendo. They don't value or respect anything anymore. And so my heart goes out to Zennials, Alpha Zs, and Millennials. You guys are Millennials, right?
Yes.
You guys are Millennials. What is dating like for you guys, man, as Millennials? Starting with the one and then LTR. And he got his face frowned.
It was bad for me, man. You know, I went to a HBCU.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. So it was cool.
I went to one too.
Yeah, it's a great experience. I want to say, and I went to a majority Black high school. So throughout that, I didn't have many relationships. Yeah. And then I ended up living in New York City, where it was just a mess, man. But the hookup culture was very much alive. So I didn't have any steady relationships, you just really couldn't trust any of these females out here,
right.
You know, during that time. So, and then I came back to North Carolina, and, you know, you have this great migration of all these, you know, people from the larger cities come to North Carolina. So then it just became another messy hookup culture, you know, because everything's happening fast with social media and stuff. So yeah. And then now I'm moving to Mexico. I mean, it's just kind of like, it's easy to try to make more genuine connections. So it's cool now for me.
Right, right. So have you traveled abroad yet? You got your passport?
Yeah. So I'm living in Mexico now.
Oh, Mexico. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I'm living here, and I've been living here for about a year, and mostly just been trying to learn the culture, learn the language, and you know, just make some connections. But for the most, you know, interacting with the women here has been it's been a lot more easier, less anxiety, and they definitely meet you halfway, at least halfway, when it comes to you know, just making that connection. So it's all good. It's all good.
No doubt. No doubt. LTR, go ahead, brother.
But you know, I played basketball in college. You know, in college.
How tall are you, LTR?
I'm 6'3".
Oh, 6'3", okay.
So my experience is a little different. You know what I'm saying? I definitely did my damage. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, when you learn and you grow and you try to, you know, have a family, there's obstacles, because in modern times, women aren't traditional.
Right.
And most of the time, they want to wear their pants. And, you know, from what I've learned, we don't take the business. Most men don't take the business side of marriages serious before you say I do. And once you either have a child or you marry a woman, you understand what I'm saying? You kind of lost your power in the relationship.
Right. I told.
So with that being said, most of these women, when they know that they have, or in my experience, when they know that they have that power, they use it. They're going to use it. You know what I'm saying? Now they kind of they hang the fact that you're married to them, or they have your child. They got something to hang over your head now.
Yes, sir.
Kind of like, you know, where you have to kind of jump when they say jump. And if you don't, as long as you allow them to control you, you're fine. You're a good man.
You're fine, right.
You're controllable. You understand what I'm saying? But when you start to stand up and you want to do your own thing and go your own, or eat, you know, buck and tell them no, oh man, it's like all hell breaks loose.
All hell breaks loose, right?
And what most of the older generations tell you, or you know, the cliche stuff that they used to say was that happy spouse. Happy
well, hold on, because you're right, LTR. And see, a lot of these some of these boomers, they meant well. They didn't mean bad. Some of them meant well. But if you keep listening to them, you're gonna end up like this, man. Because you know, you keep talking to a woman, you're gonna look like Great Old Suffering, son, and you're gonna end up old and stressed out because men are gonna be looking like a great return. Yeah, great betraying simple, man. You end up looking like an old hound dog because you're broken from that woman stressing you out because you don't demand any power in the relationship. And guys, life is fleeting. Tomorrow's not promised to no man. And that's why I implore you, brothers, as young men, to live your lives on your own terms. Shout out to my man Pacino. He said for that $10 super cent, he said, OG, let me get a dose of Aunt S before you go.
That's a bet, right?
And I
That's
will,
a
because
deal, right? That's a deal,
Hazel
right?
man is doing what Aunt S actually
right?
do,
That's
guys,
a
and it's
deal,
all
right?
part
That's a
of
deal,
something
right?
called, hold tight. I gotta find it. Guys, it's all part of something called this.
You old fish-eyed fool.
You miserable old snagger-tooth jackass. You ignorant old bum. You beady-head old pickle-eyed fool. You are unholy sinner and a heathenish foul Philistine. You bean-eating bear hugger. You a heathen, Fred Sanford. Old senile heathen. I'll unscrew your arm from your shoulder and beat your brains out. You just keep sucking on that sucker. And when I pull your chain, you bark. Woodrow, put that bottle down before I unscrew your wrist. I'd bust your eyeball. Twist his head until it unscrews. I'll get some sticks and stones and break your bones. And the name that'll hurt you will be Esther.
Oh yeah, shaming language at its finest, man. And yeah, that's what the peso man does. But once again, I ain't got nothing against the peso man. But yeah, I know he's gonna run me down too. So go ahead, peso man. You know, everybody got a view of what you look like. So it is what it is. But guys, this has been a powerful show, man. I'm gonna sign off in a minute. LTR, thank you, Young Buck, for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Dewan, thank you, brother. Go check out that classic, man. It was one of the best shows I ever did. I had the heavy hitters, Al Grease, filmmaker, Frustrated 3, A Guapo, Beautiful Lives. There were some heavy hitters on the show, man. So
definitely will.
So once again, go check it out, guys. And thanks for tuning in, guys. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Salute.
No doubt. Be good, brothers. All right. All right, guys. Once again, there are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And once again, understanding male mental health and how male mental health often coalesces with female psychology, guys, is paramount to the function of a man. And guys, I need you guys to do me a favor before we sign off. Go hit that like button. Hit that like button, guys, for me. Go feed the robot because the robot got to be fed. So do this for me real quick, guys. Hit the like button.
Hit that like button. Go ahead. Do it now. Before I reach out into that screen and twist your hand like Aunt Esther. Hit the like button. Thank you.
Destroy. No.
In my palm, my girl, she know she the one. I put the ice on her hand, I put some ice on her arm. See me shining in the light, know you found me in the dark. Talking how you wanna leave, girl, you made this far. Taking trips overseas, no, I won't be long. We came up from the weeds, now it's top floor. All these big gets on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spinning, I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on a let it spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. There for my first cake, then we hit on a cake. $500,000 on the way, then $1 million on the way. Eating good, full plates, eating good, say grace. Eat her up, get thanks. She got cake birthday. I can't waste no way, I can't waste no play. My girl, whoa, something like the baddest chick. My girl, whoa, came from the rags to rich. Hit the road running, I had to tell her I had to get it. She understood, but she spoiled, so when she get mad, she dip. All these big gets on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spinning, I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on a let it spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. it stress. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on a lettuce man. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. All these big gets on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spend it, I don't stress. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend.